It's the Ides of March. I'm Ezra Levant, and you're watching Battleground. Hello, my friends. It's Ezra Levant every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's 4 p.m. GMT for my friends in Peterborough. We go live on what YouTube calls a super chat. That means it's a live conversation between you and me. And you can communicate to me with your comments on the side panel there. I see those in real time. The phrase super chat means if you want your comment to stand out brightly, if you chip in a few quid or a few bucks, YouTube puts it in a bright color. And I see it out of the corner of my eye because I got my laptop going right here. And if you put in a certain amount, it appends it to the top of that box. So it makes it stay up there for a fair period of time. What we like about this is that YouTube actually gives us 70% of the funds, so it's one of the ways that we pay for our operation here, so I'm grateful for those who do Super Chat. I want to tell you that for the last 3 days, namely Tuesday to Thursday, I was in Peterborough, as they call it over there. We say Peterborough here in Canada. And I sat in the court and I live tweeted it. That is, I gave you my reporting of what I saw and also my opinions. That actually got me into some trouble over there, as the judge on 2 or 3 occasions told me I was being too vocal. She said that I should not ask a police officer a question as a journalist, which I did. She said that that was intimidating the officers. Everyone knows I'm quite an intimidating fellow. And then later she had I won't call it a hearing, but a meeting where she had me in the courtroom. She was talking to me. The other lawyers were there, the clerk, the usher, and she said to me, and she was very clear, she said, no opinions at all. You're not allowed to give any opinions on this trial at all until after I issue the judgment. I didn't want to get into a fight. It wasn't even my show. It was Tommy's trial. I didn't want to distract any further. So I actually submitted to the judge, which is not in my nature. But look, I was a tourist there, both legally and, citizen-wise, so I submitted. Anyhow, that's the background. I'm just waiting for a few more folks to come. Looks like we have over 1,000 folks on the line. Appreciate this. I see some folks are chipping in already. Holly Bickle, thank you very much. Proud Boys Calgary. Ezra Levant, so intimidating. Core 187, thank you for that. All right. As we speak, it is 4 p.m. in Peterborough, in Greenwich Mean Time. It's 12 noon here. The court, I'm sorry I couldn't stay all week. I had to come back to Canada. I stayed 3 days. Today, the judge issued her ruling. Now, I was sitting next to a reporter from Cambridgeshire Live, Freddie Lynn, who, he's a Liberal, of course, but I think he reported fairly accurately from the courtroom. And can we put Freddie Lynn, Cambridgeshire Live, can we put his live blog on the screen so people can see it? So I am relying on Freddie's reportage for what happened today, and I propose to go through some of that with you now. So that's what we're going to do here. If you're wondering what we're doing, I'm going to go through the judge's ruling, and obviously I've been talking to you for the last minute, so I don't know exactly what's been said in the last 5 minutes, but it looks to me it's very clear that Tommy lost. Let me say it again. Based on the first half hour of the judge's comments today, it is very clear to me that Tommy Robinson will lose his lawsuit against the Cambridgeshire police for harassing him when Tommy was in that city of Cambridge with his, this is the page from Cambridgeshire Live. You can see live updates. This is from Freddie Lynn, who was sitting next to me. Yeah, just scroll down a bit. And although Cambridgeshire Live is certainly no fan of Tommy Robinson, I do think it is his courtroom blogging has been accurate. And since I am not there myself and cannot rely on my own eyes and ears, Freddie is my avatar in the room. All right. I want to remind our viewers who do not know what we're talking about. I want to remind them about the events in question. So here's what we're going to do. Let me plan out the next hour, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some excerpts from a cell phone video taken by Tommy on his phone when he was in Cambridgeshire 2.5 years ago with his kids watching a football match. Tommy, they call soccer football over there. So Tommy is a fan of the Luton team. He actually took me to a game this week. They traveled to Cambridgeshire. He took his kids. He went out to sort of like a kids' festival that day. Then they watched the match. Then he went to a pub where they hung out. Now, unlike in America and Canada, where a bar is adults only, you go to the bar to drink, or it's a dance club or whatever. In the UK, they call them public houses or pubs, and it's basically a restaurant where they also serve beer. So you'll see families hanging out in the pub all day, kids, grown-ups. Yes, there's some drinking of beer, but there's a real culture of go to the pub with your family, and other families are there, and it's quite a fun thing. I've been to the White Hart pub in Ampthill with Tommy, and it's a great experience. So Tommy was doing that. He was having a family day with his children, and one of Tommy's friends was with his children, so obviously they were not doing any hooliganism. Obviously they were not drinking. It's a family day. And Tommy was in the pub watching Manchester United on the pub TV, having water, eating. His kids were in, his kids were out. There's a little green outside. Kids were kicking around the soccer ball, back and forth. And you know, that's that fun pub culture. I've seen it for myself with Tommy. And then suddenly in comes a big squad of coppers, and they come up to Tommy in particular and say, "Get out now." And Tommy says, "What are you talking about?" And say, "Get out now, or we'll arrest you." And now the landlady comes over. So I want to show, Justin, I want to show some of the get out now stuff from that one cop. Sergeant Street is his name, I've learned. I want to show the landlady for sure. Can you find that clip? It's all in the same video. And then I want to show when he's, so they say, "Get out now or we'll arrest you." Get out now. Tommy said, "What did I do? What did I do?" Get out now. They don't tell him. And he keeps asking, "What did I do?" And they say, "If you keep asking me, I'm going to hit you with this arrest notice called a Section 35 order. Dispersal order for antisocial behavior." There's a real creepy Orwellian vibe to the UK these days. Imagine there's an offense called being antisocial. Swear to God. I swear to God, that's what it's called. In fact, they use this ASO. I had to Google ASO, antisocial order. That's a thing over there. They can hit you with a. I did a tweet a couple days ago, if you can find it, Alex, where I talked about the EU definition of a risk. Can you find that? Just Google my Twitter. EU is your key there. I want to read the definition of antisocial behavior. It's shocking. It's terrifying. So anyways, Tommy didn't submit. The landlady came over and said he's done nothing wrong. He's been here all day with his family. The cops didn't listen, so Tommy complied, left the pub. They said, "Okay, now get out of town." Can you imagine that? Tommy's a British citizen. He's not a foreigner. He's not a vagrant. He's not what they call travelers over there. He's not a gypsy, which they have in the UK. He's a citizen. He's Tommy. And the cops say, "Get out of the city or we'll arrest you." Now, to my American and Canadian friends, that's so alien. What that sounds like? It sounds like the kind of rough policing you might see in the Deep South in the era of Jim Crow, telling a black family, this is the wrong part of town for you. You get out of town right now or we'll arrest you. "Officer, what I did wrong?" "Oh, you went to the drinking water fountain for whites. You got to drink from the colored's water fountain." Obviously that's not the perfect analogy, but it's just so get out of town. What did I do wrong? Get out of town. What did I do wrong? Get out of town or I'll arrest you. So Tommy and his kids are with him, and another cop was videoing the kids. That's creepy. Okay, so we're going to play those 3 video clips now. Number 1, in the bar, "Get out now or I'll arrest you under a Section 35 dispersal order for antisocial behavior." Number 2, when the landlady comes and says to the cop, "What are you doing? Why are you kicking out my customer?" Tommy was watching Manchester United on the pub. It's 6:30 p.m. The game ends at 7. Why are you kicking people out of a pub 30 minutes before the end of a match? It's like, hey, it's Super Bowl Friday, Super Bowl day, Sunday. Let's go into bars across the USA half an hour before the Super Bowl is over and kick out fans. That's what this is analogous to. And then the third clip is on the street. So I want to show you these. So we're going to take about 2 minutes to show you the video evidence. I can tell you that this video was played in court. And the reason it was is because the police videographer deleted his video. And he said as much. He said he didn't think his video was of any evidentiary value. So he deleted it in fact, he didn't even remember when he deleted it. He said he might have deleted it the very next day. Okay, watch the first video of the cop.
You're behaving now, says yeah.
Well, no, because you're coming up to me and my kids on a day out.
You're being aggressive.
No, you're coming up to me. Don't hit my hands. Don't hit my hands.
You'll get yourself arrested.
You're hitting my hands.
You're pointing in my face.
You've come up to me. I'm with my family in a pub. You've come up to me.
Look at the scene you're making.
Scene I'm making? Who made the scene? Go outside. I'm with my family. Why am I going to get arrested? We've been in front of my kids. So you want to arrest me in front of my kids because what?
Listen, you're going to talk yourself into this.
I'm not talking myself into it.
I'm trying to be reasonable.
You're not being...
I'm trying to be reasonable. Oh my God. That went on for quite some time. That's Sergeant Street. He was the exact same way in court as he was there. He was angry and evasive and arrogant, and it was almost like he resented having to answer any questions. Oh my God, was he irritating in court. I think he at one point said the reason he frog marched Tommy and his family to the railway station was for Tommy's own safety. I swear to God he said that. Okay, so that's a taste. You can find this very quickly if you go on YouTube and Google Tommy Robinson, Cambridgeshire. I think it's a 17-minute video. I think Brian of London put it up there. So you can watch, and I recommend you watch it. And then you use your own judgment if that was abusive policing. So that's a taste of stage one here. Stage two is when the landlady of the pub arrives, and when football matches are in town, there is a risk of hooliganism. Of course there is. There are some fans that get drunk, and there's a bit of a culture. They call it hooliganism. There's special laws and special policing. But the landlady comes up and says, whoa, 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 what are you doing? What are you doing? This is my pub. He's been here all day with his family. What the hell are you doing, copper? In fact, frankly, I'm not sure why that she's a pub owner. She's not a lawyer. But a lawyer might have said, excuse me, officer, where's your search warrant for entry or your probable cause? Get the hell out of my private property. That's what a different landlady might have said. But this landlady was just a normal human. Hey, take a look at what she said.
I'm the area manager for a security company.
Oh, yeah.
The group that you're throwing out have been in the Prince Regent today with their children. Caused no problems at all in there. They come in here, spoken to my head of security. He's saying that they've not put...
Shall I have a chat with you away from this side? No, away from you. Come and talk away from this side.
Why? Because you don't want people hearing the truth.
I don't want to talk to you.
No, you don't want to hear... No, she's telling you she's seen my family all day.
Stay there.
Mate, what are you doing?
Stay there.
My three kids are here, bro.
No, stay there.
So what are you doing? What are you trying to square up to me then? She's telling him we've been in here all day.
So he's been in there all day with the children. Now I mentioned that children part because today the judge said, oh, I don't believe the children were there. Swear to God. I'll read that. And I'm saying that based on Freddie Lynn's live blogging from the courtroom on behalf of Cambridgeshire Live. And I was sitting next to Freddie for 3 days. He's no Tommy fan. Listen, Tommy's an acquired taste. But he was giving accurate reportage, so I trust Freddie's accurate reportage of what's going on in the court today. And I'll get to that in a moment. But my point is, you heard it right there. But did you see Sergeant Street? That was the mouthy one. When the landlady came up with facts, he left. He turned away and left. Why? Why didn't he listen? Why did he remove himself? And one of the most incredible parts of the trial to me was when that Sergeant Street, that was the angry one who accosted Tommy at first, when he was asked on what basis, on what probable cause, on what indicia, what were the things you saw that made you think, Tommy's a risk, we got to evict him from a pub where there's been no complaints and frog march him to the railway station and get him out of town. On what? On what? It was proven that Tommy Robinson was not part of any official police briefing. They had the notes of the police briefing that morning. It wasn't there. The landlady, you just saw her for yourself. Now, why was that landlady not called to testify? Why did Tommy's lawyer not summon the landlady to testify? That's something I'll never know. I think she would have been a powerful witness. You know, you saw her in the moment saying what she said. I just absolutely don't understand why why Tommy's lawyer, and in fact, I understand that the one witness that Tommy's lawyer did interview, Police Constable Mason, was only summoned the day of. I'm not here to bash Tommy's lawyer, but I think Tommy was outgunned. Back to the landlady. Why did Sergeant Street, the bully who was threatening Tommy with why did he literally walk away from the landlady who was giving him contradictory evidence to his own hunches? Here's my point. Sergeant Street was asked, what basis? Because he wasn't drunk, he wasn't engaging in antisocial behavior, what an unbelievable Orwellian term. He was with his family. You heard the landlady. Did you not? Play that landlady clip. Play the kids. I want people to hear that one more time. We'll get it in a second.
I'm the area manager for security company. The group that you're throwing out have been in the Prince Regent today with their children. Caused no problems at all in there. They come in here.
You heard it. Been in the pub all day with their children. I played that for you twice now. And I tell you that because that is important. That's important. That goes to is if someone's drinking water, which Tommy testified, and actually Police Constable Mason said he thought he was drinking water. And he's with his kids, and he's not causing a problem. He's just watching the game. His kids are in the pub, outside the green, in the pub. You know how it is. Why did they arrest him? I swear to God, he testified. I was there. I saw it with my eyes, and I heard it with my ears. That Sergeant Street of the Cambridgeshire Police said, I can't even believe I'm going to say these words, and I don't know how he said this without cracking up. Sergeant Street said, some guy on the street, I don't remember who, and I don't remember anything, and yeah, he was drunk, but he said, oi, it's that Tommy Robinson is causing the trouble, not me, mate. And funny enough, Sergeant Street didn't remember his imaginary friend until much later. You know, can we get, give me 10 seconds of Snuffleupagus on sound on tape? Alex won't know who that is, but you do, Justin. Here in America, Canada, North America, United States, there's a kid's show called Sesame Street. I don't know if you got that in the UK, you probably do. But there's an imaginary friend called Snuffleupagus. And he's such a friendly guy. He's friends with Big Bird. Let me know when we have it. And is Snuffleupagus real or not? The thing is, only Big Bird can see Snuffleupagus. And she says he exists. And whenever anyone comes, he just leaves. So is Snuffy real? Or is Snuffleupagus, let me know when you have it, fellas, because I'm running out of runway here. Is Snuffleupagus real? Or is imaginary? Here's Snuffleupagus.
My goodness, Mr. Snuffleupagus, what are you doing?
Oh, hi, Susan. Hi, kids. I am doing some snuffle sizes.
Snuffle sizes?
Okay, obviously I've misremembered my childhood from 40 years ago because there was an adult who actually saw Snuffy. But in my mind, I had remembered it as an imaginary friend. Let me use a better analogy. Yeah, I've got a girlfriend. Oh, you wouldn't know her. She goes to a different school. That's the level of credibility that Sergeant Street had. Yeah, I arrested him. Yeah, granted, the landlady said he was fine all day. Granted, he had his kids with him and the landlady corroborated that. Granted, he was just drinking water. Granted, he wasn't doing anything wrong. But you see, there was this guy, and I don't know what he looks like, and I don't know if he was 20 or if he was 50. I don't know if he was black, white, or red. I don't know if he has an accent. I don't know where he's from. Okay, I will admit he was drunk, and he said that Tommy Robinson was the problem, and then he was pressed, this copper, Sergeant Street was pressed on this, and you know what he said? I swear to God he said this. He said, he was asked, why would he give weight to that? And he said, we call that intel. I swear to God, he said that. And so the judge heard that, and all I heard was a liar. Part 3 of the video. Tommy leaves the pub under protest. At this point, he's connected with his kids now, who are kicking the ball around on the green, and they're all watching, and Tommy's trying to pretend like it's all okay because you got young kids of a tender age, and the cops are threatening them with arrest. That's not something you want your kids to see. So Tommy's trying to shield them from that, but the cops stare at them, following them, and this one pervy guy's got his camera like that. I'm sorry, that's pervy. By the way, the judge didn't like me tweeting to that effect. I'm sorry, you've got a grown man with a handy cam following some young kids around? Yeah, that's pervy. I know that's now normalized in the UK, and I know the British establishment has a real fondness for pedos. I mean, ask Jimmy Savile of the BBC how he got away with things. I mean, yeah, I know that that's part of a weird elite culture there, but I think for severely normal people, it's pretty damn weird to have a grown man following a family, a dad and his kids with a handy cam. Yeah, I'm going to call that pervy. Look at the perv.
You have terrorised my children. No, you've terrorised my children. Stop following us! You've terrorised my children. You've terrorised my children. They're kids trying to watch football. You've terrorised them. You've caused this, you bully. You horrible bully.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 12:21 here, it's 4:21 GMT. Let's get to the ruling, okay? The reason I showed you these videos is just to bring people up to speed if they didn't know the background. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go, and you can join me in real time, on the Cambridgeshire Live website, Freddie Lynn's live blogging. So I'm relying on my friend Freddie, and I'm calling him my friend, we're just friendly acquaintances. I just met him there. So I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to skip the final remarks of the lawyers, and I'm going to start with the live blogging at 3:13 GMT. HHJ Walden Smith means Her Honor Judge Walden Smith, okay? Why don't you put this on the screen and I'll just read it, and then, yeah, can you zoom in a little bit there? Recapping Robinson's evidence. Yeah. I am able to consider all the evidence before me and not just part of it. On behalf of the claimant, that's Tommy, I heard evidence from Mr. Lennon himself, that's Tommy's legal name. He called no other witness except an officer from Bedfordshire Police Constable Mason. Let's stop for a second there. Why is that? Now, I should say when Tommy had his legal appeal at contempt of court last year, he had an excellent legal team, John Carson of Carson K, and he had two different barristers. When Tommy was in trouble in Canterbury, we had Kingsley Napoli. That's when Tommy worked with us. And I hired Kingsley Napoli, extremely senior firm, extremely expensive. But when your life and liberty hangs in the balance, you don't quarrel over a few £1,000s. You pay for the best lawyer. There's nothing more expensive than a cheap lawyer. There's nothing more expensive than a cheap lawyer. May I ask, now that the matter is done and the cake is baked, why were there no other witnesses? And I should tell you that Police Constable Mason almost wasn't there. He was not actually listed as a witness for the plaintiff until the day before. What the hell? And they almost didn't get his evidence in. Where were the people who were with Tommy? There was one of Tommy's friends was there, filmed someone on set. Why wasn't he summoned? Why wasn't the landlady summoned? I'm sorry, that goes to the lawyer. Let me continue reading. I'm reading from at 3:13 p.m. the live blog. Tommy provided to the court the definition. PC Mason. He provided to the court the definition of a risk supporter. He also told the court someone could be judged a risk on some occasions and not others. Dealing first with the evidence, Mr. Lennon often uses a pseudonym, Tommy Robinson. He was not in Cambridge for the espousal of his public views. He had come for the purpose to watch the Luton Town football match. He gave evidence that he had been to a fair and had stopped at a pub for refreshments. He said he had not drunk any alcohol all day. That's another point. Let's stop right there. A lot of the legal back and forth here was over whether or not the cops were harassing Tommy because of his views on Islam. I encourage you to watch the full 17-minute cell phone video that I refer to on YouTube. it is a fact that the word Islam, Muslims, whatever, is never uttered by either any of the cops or by Tommy. It's just not. So again, I'm being critical here. But why would you frame a civil lawsuit as being about Islam when there's no proof of that? Why wouldn't you just say the obvious? This was abusive policing. This is police misconduct. Why would you make this about Islam? I mean, it may have been in the back of the minds of some of the cops, or maybe that's why they named him in the first place, but Islam was not mentioned there. None of the cops involved were Muslim. It was obviously in the football milieu. Why was the lawsuit framed as a Muslim issue? It wasn't. I'm sorry, that goes to the lawyer. I say again, and I've helped Tommy, when he was in trouble, when he was arrested in Canterbury a year and a half ago. Tommy worked for us. I worked for The Rebel. And so when he was arrested, I immediately called Kingsley Napley. And we had 3 of the best lawyers in London get him out. And we busted him out of jail in 13 hours. He was arrested at 4 a.m. We got him home at 5:30 p.m. We probably, I remember one of the lawyers there said, okay, we got 2 lawyers, we got this lawyer, we got that lawyer. Should we hire this 3rd lawyer? I think his name was Adam Knight, an expert on contempt. I said, how much? I think they probably said like £10,000. And I thought, you think I'm going to gamble? Whether, save £10,000 and Tommy goes to prison? Of course, spend it. Get the frickin' dream team. Hire a 4th lawyer. Get him out of prison now. That's what you do if you're serious about winning. I'm sorry, this was not a serious lawsuit filed by the lawyer. I'm not blaming Tommy, or maybe I am, I don't know. Tommy has access to better lawyers now. Why is he using Alison Gurdon? I'm sorry. It was a crappy lawsuit. Is this excuseology? Well, I'm just so why would you not call other witnesses, like the landlady? And why wouldn't you bring in a dream team? Tommy Robinson can crowdfund a dream team. I know, because we crowdfunded a dream team to get him out of Her Majesty's Prison Only. I know that. I paid the bills. It was not cheap. But you tell me, was it worth it? Of course it was. And it's not even Tommy's money. It was crowdfunded from his viewers. His viewers obviously thought it was worth it. John Carson of Carson K and his second lawyer, and Jeremy Dean and his second lawyer, and then they had another lawyer. I don't remember all the names now. Tommy has had access to the best lawyers in the United Kingdom. As you know, we worked with a very senior firm called Kingsley Napley. I'd call them gold standard. They certainly bill that way. Tommy has access to the best lawyers in the UK. Why didn't he use them? The lawyer for the Cambridgeshire cops, I didn't like him much. Angry Adam Clemens, I called him. Tommy was outmatched on the legal front. Hopefully this will be a lesson to him, frankly. Hire better lawyers. When you're suing the cops, you better have a good lawyer on your team. Let's read some more here. I'm still reading from 15:18. So recapping evidence from police. Her Honor Judge Walden Smith says Inspector Johnson was the bronze commander. That's the on-the-ground tactical commander. For the football match, his role was to control the police centre of Cambridge and to keep Luton and Cambridge supporters away from each other. Inspector Johnson said the risk of disorder was highest due to the historical understanding of the 2 teams. The briefing given by Inspector Johnson heard the match was given a C rating. Luton supporters were given a medium risk. Mr. Lennon was not mentioned in that briefing. I'm going to go up now to 15:22. Her Honor Judge Walden Smith said both police forces had spotters to identify the risk supporters. They were identified by matters such as their individual behavior. And remember, they're using the phrase Mr. Lennon because that's Tommy's legal name. Can you zoom in a tiny bit more? Mr. Lennon attended the football match and Mr. Lennon said he had a good time. So I'm reading from 15:22 here. He was not involved with any trouble. Inspector Johnson saw Mr. Lennon leaving the ground and at that point was not believed to be at risk. So I just want to zoom in a little bit more here. Thank you. At 5:30 p.m., there was a disturbance. A group of Luton Wrist supporters were being escorted back to the bus station. On their way, they came into contact with a group of Cambridge supporters. She says the groups were kept apart but exchanged jeers. So the point is, none of this involved Tommy. Okay, let's go up to 15:30. This is again from Cambridgeshire Live, as you can see, my friend Freddie Lynn. Her Honor Judge Walden Smith continues, as well as the Luton fans involved in the earlier incident, Mr. Lennon had gone to the Grain and Hop store, that's the name of a pub. In his evidence, he said he had gone there because it was near Parker's Piece, which allowed his children to play there. In light of the evidence, I can only conclude that Police Constable Mason was mistaken in his evidence when he said the children were in the public house. Mr. Lennon gave no evidence that they were, and I thoroughly accept where his children were. This is so key. Can you highlight this with your cursor, fellas? She continues, I am satisfied the children were not in the public house, but on the green. Okay, hold that up here for 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody reading it? Everybody reading it? Okay, take it down now. So what we just saw there, you're wondering, Ezra, what are you talking about? Why did you show that? Well, remember I showed you twice the landlady saying, he's here with his kids all day. Did I show you that? I showed you that twice. And I told you that Police Constable Mason from the Bedfordshire Police, who knows Tommy, who's known him for more than a decade, he testified. He polices all the Luton football matches. He said Tommy was there with his kids. He was pressed, were they his kids? He said, well, look, I don't know whose kids they were, but he was there with kids. Whose kids do you think they were? So the evidence that you saw with your own eyes right here was the landlady on the video saying he was there with his kids. Did I show that to you twice? Play it a third time, Justin.
The security company. The group that you're throwing out have been in the Prince Regent today with their children. Caused no problems at all in there. They come in here, spoken to my head of security. He's saying that they've not
Shall I have a chat with you away from this side? No, away from you. Come and talk away from this side.
Why? Because you don't want people here.
So that's a lady, she has security written on her back. She was referred to as the landlady. I don't know if she's a landlady. She's obviously a boss. She's got security written on her back. It's a big day. Football match in town. Lots of beer going to be served. Great day for the pub. But you got to have security because you never know what's going on. And could she have been more clear? And the reason I mentioned she's from Cambridgeshire, she doesn't know Tommy. She's not like an old friend of his from school in Luton. She doesn't know Tommy. She just knows that he's been there all day with his kids. 3 times I've shown you that. Go back to the image of what the judge just ruled. And so I say, in addition to her testimony, Police Constable Mason from Luton said he was there with his kids. And they said, well, I don't know if they were his kids, but he was there with kids. And then look at this. I am satisfied the children were not in the public house, but on the green. Oh, really? Oh, really? But I say again, why the hell wasn't that security lady summoned? Well, I don't know. Okay, let's read some more. I'm reading Mr. Lennon. Tommy says there was no antisocial behavior in the pub. However, the intelligence Cambridge police got from Bedfordshire police was that Mr. Lennon himself was a risk supporter, as were 2 individuals along Mr. Lennon. The fact that Mr. Lennon had been identified by PC Mason as known Luton Town risk nominal, but Inspector Johnson had not assessed him as a risk before the game, is clear evidence that Cambridge police were not targeting Mr. Lennon. After the Section 34 notice had been issued at 5:30 p.m., 2 police support units were deployed. She says one was deployed. And here I come again to the framing of the lawsuit. If you're alleging someone was discriminated against because of their views on Islam, you should probably have some evidence for that. If you're alleging that someone was targeted, specifically by name, you should probably have some evidence for that. But you don't need to do that, do you? Because you have a 17-minute videotape of what happened. And that in itself is appalling enough. What happened on tape is appalling enough. Whether it happened to Tommy Robinson or happened to Joe Bloggs, his next door neighbor with no political background whatsoever. Why wasn't it just a police abuse lawsuit? I'll read some more from 1539 here. I'm on Freddie's blog. Her Honor Judge Walden Smith continues. Police Constable Mason was asked to make an assessment of Luton supporters in the pub. His own view was that everything was fine. It was Inspector Johnson of Cambridgeshire that made the determination that the Luton Town supporters had to drink up and leave at 6:30. If they didn't do so, they could be dispersed using a Section 35. That's that antisocial behavior order. Do we have my tweet where I have the European... Let's take one. I'm going to stop and I'm going to just read you the definition. This is from my Canadian and American friends. I'm going to show you how shocking it is to live on Airstrip 1. So I was in court yesterday and I wrote this. And that's, of course, Mountain Time, so I would have written this just afternoon in Peterborough. So this is Tommy's lawyer, Alison Gurdon, asking Police Constable Mason, what is the European Union definition of a risk supporter for football? And the cop says, any person, known or not, that has the capability or possibility, he said both those words, of public order or antisocial behavior, whether that's spontaneous or pre-planned, at any football event. I'm going to read that one more time. Just wrap your noggin around this. Any person, known or not. What does that even mean? That means you could be a stranger, you could be completely anonymous, with no background whatsoever, police don't know anything, that has the capability or the possibility of public order or antisocial behavior. Whether it's spontaneous. So that's everybody. Let me just, can I translate that into a shorter definition? You take it down now. What's a risk supporter? Well, I just read you the definition as given by the cop. Anyone. Absolutely anyone. Or let me say it shorter. You. You are covered by that definition. You are not known to police. You have the possibility of spontaneously doing something antisocial. Could you imagine giving cops that power? Especially hot-headed and arrogant cops like Sergeant Street from Cambridgeshire. Airstrip 1, that's what Orwell called the UK in his book 1984. Okay, let's go back to Freddie's blog. So I'm reading from Freddie's blog at 3:49 p.m. Are you with me there? Yeah. Her Honor Judge Walden Smith, by the time Sergeant Street was addressing the group upstairs, they had already been told by Police Constable Mason they had to leave by 6:30. What Sergeant Street's evidence was that he asked them if they were going to leave, and Mr. Lennon put himself forward and that there had been a negotiation before. Street said that Tommy's behavior escalated when no one else's did. He said this added to the risk, saying he was getting louder and more aggressive. In cross-examination, it was put to Sergeant Street, what if Tommy was a zero risk? He said he might have changed, but he was informed that Tommy and the other in the group were a risk. My website's jumping around here a little bit. She says the Luton supporters expressed a wish to stay and finish watching the match on the TV. She continues, Constable Mason said Tommy showed a mix of emotions, bemused, upset, and angry. In the video footage, Mr. Lennon was showing himself to be angry. She tells the court PC Mason said in his own view it would have been fine for the supporters to watch the match until 7 p.m. He said he told a Cambridgeshire cop named Constable Cobbett to say this over the radio so the commander could make a decision. Constable Mason, again this is the Bedfordshire cop from Luton, accepted it was down to the bronze commander, the Cambridgeshire cop, to make a decision, and Mason was told the decision was made. So that was that. I'm going to skip ahead here because we've been talking now for 40 minutes and I want to go right to the top of Freddie's live blog because I think they're probably out of court right now. Oh my God. So I'm going straight to the top of the blog, fellas. Court has resumed. Mr. Clemens, representing Cambridgeshire Constabulary, is talking about appeal. He says, in a different case, it might be that I would invite Your Honor about damages, but I'm not certain this is the place or time to do that. If there was an appeal, I invite you to dismiss all the claims and ask for my costs. He asked for £20,000. In the circumstances, I make an order that claims dismissed, application to appeal is extended by 7 days. Costs to the standard order, it seems to me appropriate. She grants an interim costs order in the sum of £20,000. So let me explain to you what that means. And I'm going to literally tweet this. I'm tweeting breaking. Tommy Robinson ordered, I'm tweeting right now, to pay Cambridgeshire police £20,000 after losing court case. And then I just want people to know that. That's incredible. That's the system, folks. That's the system. Wow. £20,000 for my Canadian friends times by 1.7. That's 34,000 Canadian dollars. For my American friends, that's like 25,000 American dollars. Something like that. So Tommy Robinson, I'm glad I skipped ahead. I was giving you too much background. Tommy Robinson lost his case, has to pay £20,000. Should he appeal? Frankly, if the appeals are done the same way in the UK as they're done here in Canada, I would recommend against it. Because an appeal is not the same as a new trial. An appeal, at least in Canada, and I'm sure the laws are quite similar in the UK, is based on the trial record, which means it's based on the evidence of the testimony and the cross-examination and the arguments made and the ruling of the lower court. So if you didn't have the landlady's testimony in court, you can't refer to the landlady's testimony on appeal. If you forgot to ask a question about the imaginary friend of Sergeant Street at trial, you can't ask it at appeal. So an appeal is not a do-over. It's a review of the first do, but it's not a do-over. I think Tommy should not appeal, and I'll give him that advice personally. So let me read from Freddie's at 4:30. It seems to me that until Sergeant Street tells Tommy he will be served a Section 35, consequently, Tommy's behavior, from his perspective, is entirely acceptable. It can be taken into account in Sergeant Street's decision-making process. I'm satisfied that the standard for reasonable suspicion is a low one, and the factors could turn out to be wrong. A police officer is obliged to look at all matters cumulatively that provide the reasonable grounds to suspect and the necessity to give the Section 35 direction. And here's the key part. Put this in bold, fellas. She continues, in all circumstances, I find that Mr. Lennon has not made out his case on the grounds he has put forward. I appreciate it will be a disappointment to Tommy and those who share his viewpoints on these matters. While Tommy may feel aggrieved on the basis he did no wrong, and the police ought not to have acted as they did, that is not the issue. What Tommy, through his action, he has brought the police through the court, and an independent person can look at it thoroughly. He may well feel aggrieved, but my duty is to consider the actions of the police were in accordance with the law. I find they did act within accordance with the law. Robinson asked if he could address the court at this point, and was told he could not, except through his counsel. He did stand up and address the court at this point, saying he felt it was an unfair ruling. Court has broken for 5 minutes. Okay, well, that's very interesting. And it wouldn't surprise me if, I'm not there, if the court just broke. I'm sure that during the break, the judge says, Mr. Robinson or Mr. Lennon, you can't talk, and if you do, I'm going to hold you in contempt. It would not surprise me if the judge said that, because of course the judge said something very similar to me when I was just live tweeting. So it is true that once the matter's over and once the ruling is issued, you can't just stand up and make a speech in court. You do that from the witness stand as a witness sworn in. You do that in your testimony, in your examination by a lawyer, in your cross-examination by the other lawyer, and by the judge herself who may have questions. You can't just have a do-over. Sorry, not a do-over. You can't just add some thoughts. Was it unfair? Well, I think what's so powerful here is the video that I traveled with Tommy for 3 days, back and forth to court, and we went out to the Luton football game. Tommy's always got his cell phone in his hand. Now, we all do, right? But with Tommy, anytime he has an encounter that could turn sideways, boom, on goes his camera. And the reason why is because he has to prove how it went down. And the police deleted their footage of the encounter. And so the only reason we know what happened here is because of Tommy's video. Can you play part of, can you play the last part? Maybe a slightly more extended part where they're walking to the railway station and the video cops behind them? We'll play that in a second. We'll get that footage for you. I'll read a little bit more from the judge at 16:22, and then let me know when we get that footage. Judge Walden Smith, Mr. Lennon's claim that his right to a family life has been infringed. The EU Convention Article 8 has been engaged with. Cambridge police deny there's been violation. I am satisfied that another could reach the same conclusion, but that does not mean that everyone must reach the same conclusion. Police Constable Mason may well have come to a different conclusion, but not everyone would come to the same one Sergeant Street did for it to be a reasonable one. Police Constable Mason has told us he knew Tommy for 14 years and his decision would have been guided by this. She says that in her judgment, this does not mean Sergeant Street was not acting lawfully. She continues, the evidence of the Luton Town spotter was that Tommy was a risk, and with other risk supporters, it is reliable information, it is relevant and not to be discounted. Ms. Gurdon, that's Tommy's lawyer, ought not to take into account the evidence of other supporters. I cannot accept that on the face to be the case. It may not be the strongest of evidence, and if he relied just on this, it would not have been reasonable accounts to accept. A supporter of Robinson's has walked out of the public galleries at this point. Walden Smith continues, the landlady clearly intervened to say Mr. Lennon had been fined. That is evidence that is relevant, but it's not everything. She's referring to how they had been and not how he was going to be. Sergeant Street adds that the information from the Luton Town spotters, together with the information, was added to by speaking to Mr. Lennon and his behavior. Okay, so thanks very much, fellas. Let me talk about two things here. The judge refers to the comment by the imaginary friend, the snuffleupagus, that Sergeant Street, I heard some drunk on the street said, beware of Tommy Robinson. And the judge seems to give that credence more than the landlady, who for some reason I don't know was not summoned to testify. But here's what's terrifying. Can we put that back up, and can we go to the landlady? Can we put the part about the landlady clearly intervened to say Mr. Lennon had been fined? Can you find that part there? Okay, and highlight that. Yeah, highlight that with your highlighter. And watch this, and this is my dire warning to my friends in Canada and America, and this is my great sympathy to my friends still in Airship 1. The landlady clearly intervened to say Mr. Lennon, Tommy, had been fined. We all saw that. I showed you that clip 3 times, right? That is evidence that is relevant, but it's not everything. And then here is what should make you terrified, my friends. This is the judge, Her Honor Judge Walden Smith. She, the landlady is referring to how they had been and not how he was going to be. I'm going to read that one more time. She is referring to how they had been and not how he was going to be. 16 words. Think about that. Take that down. So the judge is saying, sure. The landlady said he's been great all day. He's been fine all day. There's no problem. But how does she know what he's going to be in the future? What about the future crime? What about the future crime? Can you get me the trailer for Minority Report, the movie by Tom Cruise? Hey folks, have you heard about that movie by Tom Cruise? It's based on a short story by Philip K. Dick, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Minority Report. It's 3 psychics called precogs. It's a science fiction. And they have a vision of the future, psychic vision, that someone's going to commit a crime, a future crime. And so they send the police, the Department of Pre-Crime, tell me when we got them, and they send the police out to arrest someone before they commit the crime. And it's a great movie, Minority Report, you gotta watch it. And you arrest someone for a pre-crime, they say, I didn't do anything. Oi mate, never said you did. Said you might. I showed you that EU definition. Possibility or capability of creating a social disorder, even spontaneously. You're all guilty of a pre-crime. I'm gonna play for you, how long is the trailer? Okay, we'll play the trailer. Play the trailer and if it's too long, I'll cut it off.
Okay, Jad, what's coming?
Double homicide, 1 male, 1 female. Killer's male, white, 40s.
Set up a perimeter and tell them we're en route. I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks. Give the man his hat.
The future can be seen.
All we have to run on are the images that they produce.
We see what they see.
There hasn't been a murder in 6 years. There's nothing wrong with the system. It is
Perfect, I agree.
Murder can be stopped.
Tell me exactly what it is you're looking for.
Flaws. You ever get any false positives? We are arresting individuals who've broken no law.
But they will.
The fact that you prevented it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen.
The system can't be wrong.
You say something, Chief?
No. You're in a lot of trouble, John. I have a warrant in my pocket that says murder.
Don't run.
You don't have to chase me.
From 20th Century Fox
He set me up. He set me up.
and DreamWorks Pictures.
Who's the victim? I've never heard of him, but I'm supposed to kill him in less than 36 hours.
He's coming here to get her.
Tom Cruise
I need your help. If you contain information, I need to know how to get at it.
in a Steven Spielberg.
All right, you get the point. It's a future crime, it's a pre-crime. I'm arresting you for the future murder of so-and-so. I didn't do anything, mate. Never said you did. Said you might. Go back to that quote from the judge, please, if you would. That one about, let me read that again. Her Honor, Judge Walden Smith continues. The landlady clearly intervened to say Mr. Lennon had been fine. That is evidence that is relevant, but it's not everything. She is referring to how they had been and not how he was going to be. I convict you of a pre-crime, Mr. Robinson. I convict you of pre-crime. Sure, the landlady said you had been fine. Sure, the landlady said you were fine. Sure, the pub said you were there with your kids, but she didn't know the future. She couldn't give me testimony. Well, she wasn't in court at all. Alison Gurdon, Tommy's lawyer, for some reason didn't summon her. But look, she could not promise the future, unlike the precogs at the Department of Pre-Crime. Put that back one more time. I want to read that one more time. I trust Freddie's transcription is accurate. Freddie's a good typist. Her Honor, Judge Walden Smith continues. The landlady clearly intervened to say Mr. Lennon, that's Tommy, had been fine. That is evidence that is relevant, but it's not everything. I mean, there was that imaginary drunk who said, oh, Tommy's going to be trouble, mate. The landlady is referring to how they had been and not how he was going to be. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? You know, Orwell was supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual. Minority Report was supposed to be an entertainment, not a premonition. Unbelievable. All right, I'm going back. Hey, do you have Tommy's phone number? Can we get Tommy? Can we try and Skype Tommy in? All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, right now, because I see that the cord is broken, it's 12:54, we're going to extend this. Normally I wrap this up at 1 Eastern time, or what's that? That's 5 GMT. I have a note from Tommy here.
Some of that went all right, mate. That's pretty good, man.
All right, so he's left me a note earlier. I'm going to call Tommy right now. I'm calling him right now. I'm going to see if I got you on speaker here, Tommy. Can I link in with you on your phone, and can we get you on a YouTube right now?
Of course you can.
Okay, so I'm going to hand my phone over to Justin here, and he's going to work that out. Alex, just come in and... Okay, Justin, come in. Alex, come in here. Take the phone from me and just set this up, okay? Thanks. Okay. So I got Tommy Robinson on the phone there. It's going to probably take us 2 minutes to set that up, all right? Because we got this, we got that, we got the phone. But Tommy just said he's going to join me, probably from his cell phone. And I'm going to tweet that because I think people would want to hear from Tommy, am I right? So, breaking, Tommy Robinson loses his court case, has to pay £20,000 in costs. He will join me live in a few minutes. Tune in now. I just want maximum people to talk, to see Tommy. I haven't talked to him. I've been on TV with you. So we're going to try and bring him in via Skype here. I have not spoken with him, obviously, because I've been here with you. He answered the phone on the first ring. I guess he's out of court and he's not detained. He's no longer with his lawyer, I'm sure. So I just gave my cell phone to Alex, who's a good Brit himself. Oi, mate, where's your license? I'm not even joking. You know that old joke. Can you get me the "Where's your license, mate" meme, Alex? I mean, put all your effort in getting Tommy on the phone. Is Justin taking care of that? Okay. So Alex, give me that. Oi, mate, just give me a meme. Where's your blogging license? I'm not even kidding. Where's your license to be in a pub, mate? Where's your license to tweet? The judge called me on the carpet for tweeting. I told you that. Oi, mate, where's your license to go out with your daughters, with your kids? You know, there's so many things I love about the UK. And I've only gotten to know it in the last year and a half, really. I mean, I've been there once or twice, but I love the architecture, I love the history, I love the geography, I love the language, I love the accents, I love the dialects, I love hearing it's pronounced Peterborough, not Peterborough. Oi, oi, you got a license for that, chum. That's the UK today. You got a license for that. There's 1,000 versions of that. Yeah, you can take that down now. That's the land where, you know what, in America, I mean, Canada's halfway between, I'm here in Toronto, Canada. We're sort of halfway between the UK and the US. We don't have the First Amendment like they do. Okay, we have Tommy. Pipe him through.
Hey, Ez. How you doing?
Tommy, great. Do we have you on video or just audio?
I can see you. Hold on.
Perfect.
Can you?
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Hold on.
Yeah, we got you. We got you. Okay, Tommy, we got 4,000 people online, but I'll invite more to come. The camera's a little close. Maybe you could hold it a little further away from your... Yeah, perfect. You're not driving now, mate, are you?
No, I'm pulled over, mate. I don't want another charge.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks very much. I just read from Freddie Lynn's blog in Cambridgeshire Live that you have lost the case and have been ordered to pay £20,000 to the Cambridgeshire police. Is that accurate?
£20,000 within 14 days, and then I've got to pay a further £18,000. I've got to pay Cambridgeshire Police 30. I'm going to laugh or cry, man. £38,000 so that they can drive me from a city centre. The police, the Luton Intelligence Police officer, stood in court and said I was of no risk. The judge said I committed no crime. I done nothing wrong. Yet they were within the law. What does this say about British law?
Yeah.
That she found that they acted within the law by forcefully ejecting me and my children from an entire city.
So you need £38,000, Tommy, is that right?
£38,000, mate.
All right, well, let me say this. I've got 4,200 of your friends here. I explained to them at the beginning of the show, and we talked about this briefly. We were going to do a super chat yesterday. I already told you that we'd be happy to share. As you know, Google takes 30% off the top. If people chip in right now for Tommy, I had actually spoken to Tommy yesterday when I was in the UK about doing a super chat with him. Let's get Tommy some money right now, for his legal defense. Do you know what
I think they do? They've done this. My legal costs in this case were £10,000. They've charged me £40,000. Now that is, I believe, they know I've got a case coming about my treatment in prison, about my unlawful detention and the way I was held. Now this is simply to price you out. Simply, how is an average person supposed to take them to court? And in what country can anyone watch that video that happened to me and my family and say that is fair?
Yeah.
And that is fair and decent policing. Yeah. Even my enemies have been disgusted by what they've seen in that video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, folks, if you contribute a super chat, we'll pass on the dough to Tommy's solicitor. His lawyer. That's what they call lawyers over there. So if you do a super chat, we'll give the dough to cover Tommy's costs here. You know how to do that. And if you put in a super chat of 50 quid or $50 or more, I'll read your question to Tommy right now. Tommy, okay, do we have audio from you, Tommy? So you look. Oh yeah, I see you there. Yeah. Okay, so there's some support from Tommy here. I appreciate that. I see people say my money for Tommy but not Ezra. I'm telling you, I'm going to give this super chat dough to Tommy. I spoke with him about it yesterday, in fact.
We did, Ez. We did. And it's just, I can't think how. In fact, I can. All that's done, I actually said in court to the judge at the end, I'd like to personally thank you. Because the millions of people who have watched that video of that police behaviour, to think that the system here defends that behaviour, you've just exposed yourself. You've exposed the corruption of this legal system that defends those actions of those police officers that day. Actions that my own police force, Bedfordshire Police, were disgusted by themselves. They didn't agree with it. Yet here the judge, or the establishment, or the part of it, has completely defended the police's actions in their entirety.
Well, Tommy, one of the things, I played for people 3 times the clip of the landlady saying you were fine, and she specifically mentioned your kids were there. But if I'm reading Cambridgeshire Live's blog from Freddie Lynn, the judge said she didn't believe your kids were there. Did I get that right?
She said that even though Officer Mason, the Luton police officer, said when he came into the premises, my children were upstairs with him. The judge said she believes he got that wrong. She also said, now Ezra, I didn't draw attention to it, but when I'm leaving the pub, you see my daughter run past in her Luton top, coming from behind me. I've never made a distinction of that because I didn't want to draw attention to what my daughter looked like. So it's just the entire thing. And then the police officer thinking, well, the 2 police officers said he was drunk. She didn't mention the fact that they lied, that they said I was swearing at them. In the video footage, it proves that I wasn't. She didn't mention that. The judge might, I'm frustrated by it because it's just completely, it's absurd. Well, how can you watch that video and then order me to pay £40,000 for what they done to me that day?
Yeah, well, one of the things that the judge said, and again, I was reading Freddie's live blog, so I'm relying on him, but I think he's accurate. He said the judge mentioned the landlady and said, sure, she said Tommy was fine, but she didn't know how he would be in the future. That's insane to me. That's saying, well, sure, to say that, well, Tommy might possibly have suddenly done something wrong with his family, that's insane. But but the more I learn about this antisocial behavior, Section 35 orders, they basically can arrest anybody. I saw that Sergeant Street from Cambridgeshire. The whole world has seen him. I thought he was extremely aggressive and arrogant in court, just like he was on that video. And the judge is fine with that.
What this gives is this is the green card now. Why am a family? Because they can do this. This gives them this is the permission and the precedent of a case to say that yes, without any evidence, without any negative actions by an individual who's with his family, without doing anything wrong, the police are within the law to forcefully eject them and video them as a family out of a city.
You know, I was so frustrated, and it just feels, you know, your autobiography is called Enemy of the State, and you show that all the establishment, they all stick together. The police, the prosecutors, the courts, the media, the politicians. I feel like this is Exhibit A in how they all collude. It really is the elite establishment. I can't believe that the judge accepted that this imaginary fan who warned, psst, hey, Sergeant Street, watch out for that Tommy Robinson. Such a clearly...
No evidence.
And to give that weight, but to brush off the landlady, I'm shocked by this, but maybe I shouldn't be shocked.
And to brush off the Luton intel officer, whose job it is to give them intelligence on who's going to cause trouble. The man that's known me for 15 years, the man that clearly tells her he is no risk. He told the court he's no risk. He's no risk at all. In fact, the same police, the Home Office took a case against me 2 years ago where they tried to ban me from leaving England. And they tried to ban me from my town centre, and they used exactly what this police force have done. My presence could provoke a reaction. Now, when Bedfordshire police come to court, they told the court he's no risk. He does nothing wrong. He only comes to football with his family. We don't worry about him at all. We do not need to ban him. And because of that, the government's case was thrown out. But in this case, the judge has completely sided with their policing, which is insane. Yeah. Because essentially, we're not a free country. We are a police state.
You know, Tommy, I referred earlier to some parts of the Deep South in the United States before the Civil Rights Movement, where black families were treated roughly by the police, that the police would, like, say, get out of town or get off the bus or get off this whites-only restaurant in the segregated South I'm talking about. And that's era is regarded as an unfair blight on American history, and I think it was. I don't think, especially for the public authorities to treat black people as second-class citizens. Here we are in 2019, and the cops are ordering a peaceful man and his children to leave an establishment and then to leave the city. And I felt if you were black, and if that were in Mississippi, that would be straight out of Mississippi burning.
If this would have happened to any minority family in Britain with their children crying and terrified, this would be world news. This would be but this hasn't just happened. I've got to pay 38 grand.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's mental. It's mental. I've got to go home now, Ezra, and tell my children, because remember what happened that day, because they know it's going on in court. Well, it was fair.
Yeah.
What does that tell the kids about the police system in this country?
Now, Tommy, it's been a while since I practiced law. I no longer am a practicing lawyer, but back 15 years ago, when I took some matters to trial, if a party in a lawsuit deletes evidence, if they have evidence and they delete it, throw it out, hide it, the court in Canada, and I don't know the law over there, takes an adverse inference, which means if you delete something and hide it from the court wants to punish you for deleting it, so they assume you're hiding something bad, because no one hides something good, right? The police video cop, the videographer who followed your family down the road as they frog marched you to the railway station, he videoed that whole thing, and we showed that clip earlier. He testified, I was there in court, when he said he just deleted it. He said he thought it had no value as evidence. It wasn't interesting. He didn't even remember when he deleted it. He might have deleted it the next day. Did the judge say anything about that in her judgment?
In her judgment, she said that that he didn't see any relevance to it. Now, he's an intel officer, which means what he videos is for intelligence. It then goes into an intelligence system. It doesn't. It's intel. He's an intel officer. He only videos for intelligence. So that would have gone into an intel system. But he says he deleted it after 24 hours. And Ezra, I'm telling you, she sat in court and said that I over-exaggerated. I didn't need to over-exaggerate. My daughter was terrified and she nearly ran into a road because of your police's action. And then I'm sat there and you're making out like I'm the liar, and then I've got to pay you money. The only thing that I take a little bit from this is that it completely exposes the entire system to everyone who's seen that video of my children. To see that they've defended that action just shows that if I wasn't Tommy Robinson, that there'd have been a payout today. If I wasn't Tommy Robinson, I believe that judge truthfully would have said this is wrong.
Yeah.
Truthfully, 100%. No one can watch that video and not agree it's wrong.
Yeah.
But if she says it's wrong with me, I walk out of court and it proves police have targeted me. It proves that I've been harassed.
Yeah.
It proves all the other cases and all the other things I've got coming up. It proves all those points, and it lays the foundation for the rest of them. So by not agreeing, and to be honest, Ezra, when we talk about the establishment in this country, that lady, that judge, would have gone to the same school as the prosecutor. They are all part of the same club. And all of them come from a tough middle-class view where they look down their noses upon us. And we're viewed, as you saw in the Panorama documentary.
Yeah.
There is a classist system in this country. Mm-hmm. And that's partly the problem, that we're not in that. We're not in the club.
Yeah. Well, Tommy, I want to talk to you about that, and if you want to talk to me privately about this instead, just say so. I'm not looking to put you on the spot. But there were certain things I think your team, and by that I mean your lawyer, Alison Gurdon, like the landlady was not summoned to give testimony. Your friends were not summoned. And I think you just told us that you paid your lawyer £10,000. Now, I know from paying your legal bills in the past.
It should be £40,000, I know.
That I mean, we have spent, I'm not going to say it in public, but we hired a dream.
Do you know what it is, Ezra? When I started this legal case, this was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't have the public support that I've got now. So I didn't have the support then to go sit down with the best QCs and the best legal teams. It just was not a possibility 2 years ago when this happened. So yeah, their legal fees are £40,000 because they pulled in the top boy.
Well, I want you to make me a promise that in the future, your litigation, that you're not going to be, as they say in the UK, penny wise and pound foolish. No,
I won't, mate. I won't. Hopefully, as I said, I've got one obstacle to get out of the way now, and this is their 38 grand bill.
Because Frank,
I'd love to appeal it.
I hate the fact that we got to pay 18 grand or 38 grand or whatever it is to there. I would rather have raised 38.
The Cambridgeshire police.
Yeah, well, I would rather.
I'm sitting there thinking I'm not going to pay it.
Yeah.
And I'd rather go jail than pay it.
No, don't go to jail.
Piss me off.
Don't go to jail.
Nah.
I would rather have paid the £38,000 to your lawyers and hired a group of ninjas.
I know.
All right, I'll stop. I'm not here to lecture you, my friend. It's on my mind, and some of your viewers, it might be on my mind. I'm your friend and ally. You know that, and we're going to give you some dough from what we're doing here. Thank you to the folks chipping in.
Cheers, guys.
And let me ask you two more questions. Can you stay at the side of the road there for a couple more minutes? Do you have a few more minutes with us? Because people. Okay, I see from what Freddie was blogging, Freddie from Cambridgeshire Live, he said that you stood up to make a comment afterwards, but the judge said you can't. Can you tell us a little bit of what happened there?
Yeah, I said at the end, I just said, I'd just like to thank you, because anybody who can watch that footage and defend those police actions, you've played your part today, but not in getting justice, in exposing the corruption of this system to the British public. That's what I said to her in court.
And did the judge let you say that, or did she shut you down?
No, I said it, yeah. I said it, and then she just walked out.
She walked out. And can I ask what the reaction was from other people in the court? Were the police all there?
The police were all there. They didn't gloat. They didn't. They just all sat in silence.
Yeah. And how about angry Adam Clemens, the rotund lawyer for the police? And I'm saying rotund because we had a little banter back and forth.
He didn't either. He didn't either, to be honest. And then when I got told I've got to pay £38,000, I have to tell you, I laughed my head off because I didn't know what else. I'm like, are you for real?
Yeah.
Really?
And how about your supporters in the gallery? I should note that for some bizarre reason, the court was not letting in your supporters. There were 19 empty seats one day, 23 empty seats the other day I counted, and the court wouldn't let your supporters in. And the judge said, I don't want it to be overfull. And I thought, overfull, the chairs are there. Overfull is if you have 50 chairs and 51 people.
People stand up.
Overfull is not 50 chairs, but you only let in 37 people. What was?
Ezra, do you know that from the start of this trial, they had a hired, paid protection police officer. The man with the bit in his ear.
Yeah.
He was a police protection officer for the judge. So straight away from the start of this trial, she's been told you've got personal protection against violence, as though somehow a court case with me is going to lead to her being violently attacked. That's straight away putting her head from the start of this case.
Yeah.
Straight away.
What did your supporters say? I enjoyed the chance to get to meet some of them in person when I was out there. Did you commiserate with them at all? Did you talk with them at all?
Yeah, I think they were just shocked, and they were just shocked, just like, because everyone's watched the video, Ezra. Everyone's watched the video. It's not like it's my word. Yeah. It's like, in fact, when you listen to their statements, anyone who watched the video, their statements, all three of them say I was drunk and disorderly. I wasn't, clearly, and I was swearing constantly at them. I didn't swear once when you watch the footage. So we know they lied. Yeah. You lied. All three of you lied in your statements. All of you lied in your statements. Yeah. The police made no comment on that. It didn't matter that they lied. It's just a complete, for me, it's a stitch up. I just hope the public have seen it as that.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, I don't know, man.
Listen, stay with us for a few minutes because there's a lot of people online. There's 5,000 watching, and I know you often get 10,000 before they shut you down on Facebook, which makes me really mad. But stay online because, folks, I saw someone just say, is the money going to Tommy? And the answer is yes. When I was in Peterborough.
Ezra said, because I've been shut down, Ezra said that through the super chats, that he'd hold a super chat where I could talk to people after the case, and he'd throw the money towards a fees. But that wasn't us thinking there's going to be £38,000 fees. That was a £10,000 that we've spent so far.
Yeah.
It's not 38 grand.
So I'm just saying that too because I see some people saying, what's with the super chats? And Tommy and I had actually planned to do this because we didn't know what was going on. All right, well, let's stay on the line. Can you give us another 10 minutes, Tommy? Can you stay for another 10 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, cool.
I'm going
to Antwerp tomorrow.
You're going to Antwerp. That's in Belgium, am I right?
Yeah, with Philip de Winter for a free speech rally. So anyone who's in Europe, try and get there. Is
there a website we can tell people to visit? Philip de Winter, is that what you said?
Philip de Winter, yeah. It's the I'll send you a link if you want to put it out. It's I can't say the word. I can't say.
Okay, I'll tweet it later. You can send it to me later. So you're giving a free speech talk in Antwerp. Can I ask you about your contempt of court matter? Do you have any news you can share publicly? That's, I think, the scarier one.
I do. That is that, not 100%, but it is highly likely that on Monday I will find out the case has again been moved. So it's not going to be on the 22nd. We understand it's probably going to be at the end of April, but I don't know that. I only found this out last night at a meeting with my legals to say that it looks like, due to whatever legal reasons, the case is not going to be heard on Friday. In fact, I won't even have to go to court at all next Friday. But the trial is going ahead. I am being prosecuted for causing anxiety to the 10 Muslim rapists, child rapists, who are all in jail now. According to the Attorney General, the government, no one can no longer say this is not politically motivated. This is not the police prosecuting. This is the government. The Attorney General has forced prosecution against me. The trial will go to a High Court judge who will then decide whether he's going to let him try me, which he will, because we know the system's like this. So he will then try me, and I will be charged with causing anxiety, because apparently these Muslim rapists should be free from fear of molestation when entering court trial.
Yeah. Well, Tommy...
I didn't molest them. I didn't scare them.
Yeah.
I simply asked them a simple question. How do you feel about your sentence? That's it.
Yeah. Well, and the irony is, I came to court with you 2 of the 3 days I arrived in your vehicle with you, and there was a group of mainstream media journalists there, and they pounced on you. Mr. Robinson, what about this? Tommy, what about that? So,
every day.
And that's just normal. I mean, I don't even see a problem with that, frankly. I mean, it's a public court. We live in a democracy, a free press, good. So the idea that you would be prosecuted for contempt of court for asking someone a question when his trial was over, by the way, but that happens. I saw it with my own eyes happen to you. And of course, none of the reporters.
Happened to me yesterday. 2-year prison sentence. It's a 2-year prison sentence that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say, when I always say the world's watching, they can't do that. They can do whatever they want. And the lengths they will go to, you've seen it. Everyone's seen it. They don't care that the world's watching. They genuinely do not care. They are in power. They will maintain power. They don't care about Brexit. They don't care about the fact that everyone's seen the video of the police harassing my family. They don't give a shit. They'll still find them not guilty. They'll still prosecute me. They'll still put me back in prison. Unfortunately, for that case, like when I was released from prison, I was released from prison because of the legal team that I was given with the help of the people. And when I go back to fight this one, I will go in with a great legal defence. And that's the only chance I have.
Well, Tommy, I got one more question for you, and I thank you, and I know you got to get back, and you've pulled over to the side of the road so you won't be arrested on some trumped-up charge. I mean, you wouldn't want to do a live stream while you're driving anyways. I want to ask you one more question because, of course, our UK viewers especially will remember that you did a demo, a street demonstration a couple months ago called Brexit Betrayal. And I'm shifting gears here, but folks, keep chipping in on the Super Chat. As I promised Tommy when I met him in the UK this week that we were going to help him cover his legal fees. And that Super Chat money, we actually get to keep 70% of that from YouTube, so go ahead and keep hitting that button. Tommy and I spoke about this the other day. Tommy, I want to shift gears away from the trial just for a minute because you led a Brexit betrayal demo with the leader of UKIP, Gerard Batten, a couple months ago. We got some footage of that on the screen right now. It was very exciting, but it looks like
Brexit's being betrayed by.
Yeah, give me an update.
The update. Brexit's being betrayed. They're going to delay it. The European Union have already said that the delay discussions could go on for 4 years. This is just Brexit betrayal. And there's now plans. The day we were supposed to leave, or we're meant to leave, with Article 50, is the 29th of this month. It's Friday the 29th. So now I know that I'm about to organise. Now I know I'm not in court next week on the 22nd. I'm going to ask people to come to London on the 29th, the weekend after, the Friday after, for a mass rally against the Brexit betrayal. And the length they're going to go to, you can see it. We're not getting Brexit. I truthfully now believe we are not going to get Brexit. And it's unbelievable. And the anger and frustration that's growing in this country. We live in a police state and we do not have a democracy. We voted to leave. We've voted already.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. Well, listen, Tommy, I appreciate you. I just called you out of the blue there because I thought, well, it looks like it's done. I'm just going to phone Tommy, and I handed the phone to Alex, and Justin hooked you up. So thanks for everybody for making that happen. Do you have anything else you want to tell our people? It looks like we've raised. I haven't kept a tally. We've probably raised £1,000 here for you, and I understand. And we know we got to pay $38,000. We'll talk more about that, but keep on hitting that, guys, if you want to help. Give us one last word. I'm guessing that 2/3 of the viewers right now are from the UK, and the rest are split between Canada, the US, Australia, and there's some continental Europeans, of course. Do you have a message, if you had to sum things up? Is there a warning you have for the world? Is there a lesson here? Do you have any encouragement? Do you have any encouragement?
Canada, America, protect your freedom. Ours have gone. And it's only going to get worse. Now, when we say encouragement, the only encouragement is the fight goes on. It does not stop. It doesn't stop here. Will I be deterred not to take a prison lawsuit because of this action? No, I won't. Will I be deterred not to appeal this? No, I won't. I want to fight this. The public can see on that video how wrong this is. Now, what today proves is the corruption of the system. Today doesn't prove the police acted within the law. doesn't prove that. Everyone can see the video. It just proves that the whole entire system is corrupt. And if I had any words to everyone, it would be thank you, every single one of you, for your continued support throughout everything and all of this. Yeah. And unfortunately, every time we think it's about a low down and there's going to be a bit of a chill out period, there's not. It just goes bang every time. So God knows what's next, but know one thing, we will all fight it together. Thank you.
All right, Tommy. Well, thanks for pulling over. Great to see you. I'm going to say goodbye to you now, but everybody else stay on because we're going to talk. We're going to keep going for another 6 minutes and just wrap things up. Boys. Tommy, stay safe, mate, and we'll talk to you more. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Tommy Robinson, live from his vehicle. He pulled over to the side of the road, and he corrected me. I thought he had to pay £20,000. He confirms that it's £38,000. I just typed that into the currency converter. That is exactly 50,000 US dollars. And for my Canadian friends and Australia, it's our currencies are the same. That's $67,000 on top of Tommy's own legal fees. Please stay with me. In fact, I was going to say we'll end at the bottom of the hour. 5 minutes from now, 1:30 Eastern, which is 5:30 GMT. But I propose we keep this going. And you heard Tommy say it, and I said it twice, that I had talked to him about trying to help him out this way. So please do chip in here. And as you know, I give Tommy a full accounting of the crowdfunding that we raise for him. This money obviously will not go to him. It will go to his legal fees and the legal costs here, excuse me. I am frustrated by this. I didn't want to get too much into his legal representation. I'm not even trying to be mean, but it is so evident that he was outgunned and outclassed on the litigation, on the lawyer's side. And if I had to disagree with Tommy on one thing, it would be don't rail against the snobs. I mean, do that, but get yourself your own snob. And by that I mean, well, not a snob, but get yourself an absolutely top flight lawyer. You know, a lawyer who charges £10,000 for a 4-day trial is probably worth it. And a lawyer who charges £38,000 for a 4-day trial is probably worth it. Now, that's not to say that you can make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. But my God, you've seen the footage here. Can we tee up the footage one more time, the third part where they're walking down the street? We all saw, and I recommend that 17-minute cell phone video. Let me know when we have it ready, part 3. That evidence was shocking. You heard Tommy say, well, we all know, we all saw. Here, remember, this is the so remember, part 1 was when they said, get out of the pub. Part two was the landlady saying he's done nothing wrong. And then part 3 is them frog marching to the railway station. Here's part 3.
You have terrorised my children. No, you've terrorised my children. Stop following us! You've terrorised my children. You've terrorised my children. They're kids trying to watch football. You've terrorised them. You've caused this, you bully. You horrible bully.
Yeah, that went on for a bit. You can watch that whole thing. Just go on YouTube and type in Tommy Robinson, Cambridgeshire. So that's a pretty powerful piece of evidence. You can understand why the Cambridgeshire cops would have deleted theirs. I mean, whew, imagine that. So I just got to think you have a top flight lawyer. I mean, and this is not an ad for lawyers. I'm just saying, if you're in a legal arena, hire yourself the best person in that arena. And I know we did that when Tommy was in prison in Canterbury. We got a dream team from Kingsley Napoli. We got him out. He was in police custody. We got him out in 13 hours. He arrested at 4 a.m. We had him home by 5:30 p.m. 4 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. What's that? 50, whatever the math is, 13 and a half hours. Because you don't mess around. You don't mess around. You don't say, I'm going to save £10,000 by hiring a cheap lawyer, and then guess what? Yeah, so you didn't pay your own lawyer, you paid the other lawyer. You got to be smart. And I'll help Tommy if he needs the help. He doesn't work for me anymore, doesn't work for the Rebel anymore. We just helped him crowdfund. I know he had good lawyers in the Royal Courts of Justice. I was there, I saw that with my own eyes. I know he had good lawyers at the Old Bailey. I know he's got good lawyers going in this contempt thing. That's extremely important. Because remember when Tommy was thrown in prison in May last year, remember what lawyer he had there? He had a public defender. And again, I'm not being mean to the public defender. Public defender is the lawyer, you know what I'm talking about. It's sort of the lawyer who's there, and anyone who just shows up, they get this lawyer for free, and he's not a top gun. And the thing is, the reason why that was so inappropriate for Tommy to have a public defender last May is that Tommy is very complicated, and there's a lot there, you know. He's got a long history. You got to know him. You got to know his interactions with the state. You got to know his history of contempt of court. They had a cheap public defender. Again, I'm not making fun. I'm just observing. Who I'm sure has never done a contempt of court case before. Of course, Tommy, you have a dream team. Well, and I don't know who such a lawyer would be in the UK, but you know, the O.J. Simpson dream team, where he had your Johnny Cochran, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. You know, remember that? And he had Alan Dershowitz, and he had Kim Kardashian's stepdad, or his dad. Was it Robert Kardashian? Yeah, it was Kim Kardashian's dad, I think, was one of the lawyers. See, I mean, it really was a dream team. You had these excellent lawyers, and there was one other lawyer I can't remember, I think. Because O.J. Simpson, he was fighting for his life, and he wasn't going to save $100,000. So yeah. Anyway, so what we're doing today is we're just trying to help him cover his legal bills, and I'm very frustrated. Yeah, someone just says governments have unlimited funds. You're right. Let me. You know what? I said I would read the super chats. Can you fellas gather up all the super chats, email them to me, and then I have 3 right now. Okay, so let's. Okay, so I'm 3 emails from Alex with the super chats. Okay, so it's 1:31, and I am going to now. Okay, so I'm going to read some super chats that Alex has compiled here. So keep making the super chats, and I'm going to do my best to go through them. I'm going to be really quick. Holly Bickle Vlogs, £1.99, thanks. Proud Boys Calgary, yeah, we already read that. Neil McInnes, what is next for Tommy and free speech in the UK? I think he answered that a little bit. Edward W. Ezra, do you think there's any hope that the UK can be walked back from being a police state? Well, there's a little bit of hope. Never give up hope. You know, as the Catholics say, where there's life, there's hope. There's always hope. But hope ain't enough, is it? You need work. You need courage. Yasmin McSlinky, Ezra, I've emailed your website with an idea. Let me translate good reporting to extend your reach. Well, thank you very much, Yasmin. Most of our output is in video form. So I guess translation would be in the form of captioning. I don't know. Most of our stuff is not actually written, it's video. But thank you. Chris Fitzgerald, £2. Lyle Budd, $10. Ezra said Tommy free. Well, he's free. He's just now indebted 38,000 quid. And I translated, that's 50,000 US, that's 60-something Canadian. It's terrible. Justin Call, £5. Thank you. AK Lady, $2. How sad for his children. Yeah, I saw them yesterday. They're the cute as a button. Bob Rinshed, $5 Canadian. Hi, Ezra, sending support from Windsor, Ontario. Great journalism. Thanks, Bob. Nikki Coleman, £9.99. Thank you. Eskimo 56. Remember the 5th of November. Seems like they have forgotten all about this already. Well, yeah, and today is the Ides of March, isn't it? Mark Britton, £5. Why did the judge even mention his political views? It's irrelevant. He lost his case. Tragic. We're lost. Well, in fairness, I think the reason she did is because he did in his lawsuit. Observer Dude, are you a fan of Paul Watson from InfoWars? Huge fan. He's one of my favorite guys. I had the pleasure of having dinner with him when I was in the UK a couple months ago. I think he's outstanding. Bob Rinsey, yeah, read that one. Primpal 08, the cops are expected to be political goons. Most of those with any quality quit. They have to take almost anyone who applies, so here we are. Well, listen, there's a lot of good cops, but it seems like these beat cops just really enjoy. I mean, that Section 35 dispersal order, that antisocial behavior, that pre-crime business, that's what's scary. Mark R, 79 pence, thank you. Steve Jennings, revolution in the UK. Well, they tried to stop that. The Brexit, you could say the Brexit was a peaceful revolution. Looks like Theresa May is killing that in the cradle. Fraser McBurney, why did Tommy's lawyer not mention that the police had offered Tommy compensation on 2 occasions? Why did she not call the landlady of the pub? Well, the first one is probably because it was a without prejudice settlement offer that probably would not have been admissible. But the second part is a good question. Why didn't she summon the landlady? Observer Dude, £5. Wikipedia identifies Rebel Media as far right. What would your response be to that? Well, I know in the UK, far right has a special meaning. It's like alt-right here, or we hate you. I mean, we're conservative. You could call us right-wing, I suppose. But the issues that we're supposedly spicy on have mass support. For example, we're critics of the theory of man-made global warming. That's a pretty mainstream position. We're anti-terrorism, pretty mainstream position. We believe immigration is too high. That's supported by, what, 94% of Canadians? We're for free speech. You know, so these are called far-right positions, but they're actually pretty mainstream. William Eady, keep up the good work and coverage of Tommy persecution. Yeah, we'll do. It was great to get him joining us via Skype there from the side of the road. That was good. Kappa Dessau, 55 Norwegian kroner. Doesn't surprise me that a judge of the Islamic State of Europe and Great Britain won't rule in favor of citizen of the now defunct country UK. I'm sure some of it's on the judge, but I think some of it's also on the pleadings, as in what Tommy's lawyer submitted, and of course some of it's on the law. Ben Tomlinson, $5. Individual versus the state protects their own. Radical Bear, Ezra, narrowly, you're right that Tommy's lawyer sucked, but maybe Tommy's point is using a bad lawyer is that it shouldn't take $50,000 for the police to say sorry about an obvious wrong. Long game. Yeah, okay, that's good points. Tammy Mills, $1.99. Alfie Meyer, thank you. Wicked Servant Bear. Much love, Ezra. I support Rebel Media, the government that imports another alpha culture of conquer on top of us and lies that it's all okay. Would you call that government and shill media the enemies of the people? Well, you don't need me to do that. Donald Trump himself did. Simon Reed, thank you, Ezra. VOH, thanks from England. You're welcome. Sabin Akel, Primpal 08. Too bad Tommy can't sue his lawyer. Sounds like negligence. Look, I'm not overly blaming the lawyer, but frankly, Tommy would have done better by himself, and here's why he would have done better by himself. First of all, he would have saved £10,000. Second of all, he probably would have been more attentive. And third of all, I think he would have probably asked for more help. I think delegating this to Alison Gurdon was a terrible idea. And I would say that to her face if she were right here. I think that Tommy now has the means to hire top flight lawyers. And when you go to a legal battle, especially one of your choosing, you better know that you've got the good case and you got a good lawyer, or don't do it. Or fight back using other forms, like in the public court of public opinion. Anne Berlin, sad day, any stupid thug can harass anyone. Fraser McBurney, my submission, incompetent lawyer, amateurish and lazy judge and very bad judgment. Well, I don't know. I don't have the judgment in front of me. But I think 3 things went wrong. I think the laws of the UK are very anti-liberty. Like I read to you, and I didn't read to you the anti-social order, anti-public order, like all those. But I read to you the definition that the cops said: anyone, known or unknown, who has the capability or the possibility of committing an antisocial or public order offense, now or in the future. That's another way of saying anyone. I mean, I guess if you were literally a little baby in a stroller, it wouldn't apply to you because you didn't have the capability of creating public disorder. Universal Bob, keep going, Tommy. The world is watching. We know you're innocent. The world is watching, and we are as angry as you are. Stay strong. Be proud of yourself. Love and blessings. Playing for you. Big hugs. That's Universal Blob. Ali Isles, £49. Keep going, Tommy. Eamon Fennel, €50. Can you, and if so, do you appeal the verdict? Well, look, I haven't read the verdict, and I don't know UK procedure. But if it's like in Canada, you're appealing on the record. The record means what was said at the trial. And if the landlady wasn't there and other witnesses were not there, and if certain questions were not asked in cross-examination, and you're appealing on the pleadings that you filed, that means what did you write when you went to court and say, I'm suing, I'm claiming this happened. Did you make the right claim? If you have a bad pleading and a bad trial record, an appeal is probably not going to help you. An appeal goes to an error in law, at least in Canada. Again, I don't want to come across as an expert in UK law. So I don't even know. I mean, at this point, I'm not a legal expert in UK civil procedure, but my hunch would be do not appeal. Because you got a bad record and bad pleadings, and you're throwing good money after bad. That's just my hunch, being very candid with you. Thinking of David Green, thinking of emigrating somewhere the gov isn't out to get you and you can live in peace and anonymity. America, Canada, Ireland, Spain. Yeah, I'm going to say no to the last two for sure. I think America is the best of those four in terms of free speech and freedom from government. M. Barnes, $50. Love and respect to you and your family. Mags. Ismi Amy, thank you for taking a stand for free speech. Keep up the good fight. May God protect you and your family. Best wishes to you, my friend. Much love. Dorset Big Cats, keep your chin, mate. I despair at the state of our nation. MD Photo Girl, what is the status of your visa to come to the USA? Well, I know a little bit about that. I don't want to speak for it. Keep sending me those super chats by email, guys. There's just so many of them, and I'm not keep. Normally I keep up. Okay, I'm just looking for more. I just send it again if I've missed them because I've got a lot of stuff in my email box here. You asked what's the state of Tommy's visa. I spoke with him about it. He's trying to get it because he once came to America on a passport not his own. And again, it just happened. You can read about that. I think that's mentioned in his book. And it makes sense that that's going to cause you problems to visit a country. So he's got that problem. Okay, they're getting some more together. So let's see, it's 1:40. Should we keep going with the super chat to review things again? I think we should. Let's give it at least a few more minutes. I see someone says, was Tommy called as his own witness? Yes, he was. And there were objections by the lawyer for the Cambridgeshire cops named Adam Clemens, I think his name was, that Tommy was speechifying. And it's true, Tommy was speechifying. He was not speaking to the narrow matters at hand. He was collaterally and obliquely. And again, I think that goes to trial preparation. There's court of public opinion and there's court of law. When you're in the court of public opinion, you can speechify. When you're in the court of law, it's not just to speechify. It's to talk about the matters contained on the four corners, within the four corners of your legal claim. That means you can talk at length about your legal claim, but you can't really go outside those, because that's not what the judge is there to judge. I think I saw the super chats just come in by email. So I'm going to read some more super chats, and then I'm going to go back and cover some ground that I didn't with the blogging by Freddie Lynn. Of course, the court is over, but I want to go through because there were a few things he said that I missed, and I'm just going to look at them, and I'll do so with you. AA says, Ezra, thank you for going to help Tommy at the drop of a hat. You were a good friend. Well, you know, I was just sitting in my house. It was 7 a.m. or whatever, and I was up doing some other thing, and then I get a message from Tommy. You know, should I play that message, Justin? I think I played that for you. Is it funny? It's a lot of swearing. You know, and I'm not going to play it. But he basically said, damn it, I forgot. This is going on. Come on out here. It was very funny. I won't play it for you because it was a personal message. But I said, Tommy, can I send someone else from the team? Because I got this whole week of stuff, and we got a lot of stuff on the go. And he said, but he said, no, mate, you got to come. And he's right. I was going to send. We got another great teammate here named David Menzies, who's really good. But David doesn't know Tommy, and David's not a former lawyer like me, and David doesn't know Tommy's cases like me. So I agreed with Tommy that I had to go. I mean, I enjoy going. It's just to go on literally 12 hours notice. So I caught the 7:30 flight that night. So like I went to work, did my work early, and then I went to the airport and came. So it was a short notice, and 3 days I had to come back. And I say this because it's insane. Why does Tommy need a Canadian to come there? Now, Freddie Lynn did an okay job. He did a pretty good job, let's be honest. He did a good job of blogging from the court. I was much more prolific. I'm a very fast typist, if I may say so. When I was a kid, in a very strange move. My parents sent me to Henderson Business College to learn how to type. I was a kid. I think I was 13. And my parents sent me to this business college. I was the only kid, like it was all like adults. And then I was there and we were learning to type on old-fashioned typewriters. Isn't that a weird story? It was terrible, but it was the best thing. I'm a super fast typist because my parents sent me to a business college just like for night classes to learn how to type. And that was before computers were even a big deal. Isn't that funny? Sorry for that personal indulgence, but yeah, so I was a very fast typist. And so I was live tweeting. It was good. And so I wrote a lot more than Freddie, is what I'm saying, because I'm a fast typist. I'm going to my Twitter analytics right now, and I don't think my friends out there can put it on the screen because they don't have access to my account. But let me tell you the number of impressions. And this is not bragging, it's a little bit of bragging, but it's my point of why it's important I went. That's what I'm trying to say. So on the Tuesday, I had 4.76 million impressions of my tweets from court. So let me do the math. So it's 4.76 million on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I had 5.31 million. And then yesterday, which was only a half day, I had 3.18 million. So you add that all up, 6 and 1 is 7, plus 8 is 5, carry the 1, 2, carry the 1, 5, 10. So 13.25 million views of my tweets, 13.25 million. That's a lot of people. That's probably, just 1 million people reading 13 tweets each or something. But I can see why the lawyer for the Cambridgeshire police was furious with me because I wasn't bending the knee. And Tommy went on for a bit there about the snobbery of the UK, and there is such a class system. I remember my very first time I met Tommy. Did I tell you this story? I had only talked to Tommy via Skype and by phone before, and by email and text. And then after the Westminster terrorist attack, I thought, well, we gotta have Tommy. We gotta hire him or something. So I said, well, I'll come in, and I got a hotel right across Westminster Bridge. I wanted to be right there. I wanted to see where the attack had happened. So Tommy met me at the hotel, and we had a bite. And then he said, "Oi, mate, let's go for a walk. Let's walk to Parliament." I was very excited. I hadn't been there a very long time. This was my first trip to Britain since I was a kid, really. So we started walking across Westminster Bridge together, and this was 2 years ago or whatever. Or I don't know when it was. I'd have to check 2 years ago. And so Tommy was big, but he's not as big as he was now. But even back then, you walk down the street and you hear say, "Oi, Tommy, oi, Tommy." Like he really is. I'd say after Jeremy Corbyn and Theresa May, I'd say he's for sure the third most visible political person. I'd say, you walk down the street, you got Piers Morgan on this side and Tommy Robinson on that side. I'd say they'd probably get equal numbers of shout-outs. I'd say the only people who would get more would be people who are not political, like David Beckham or Posh Spice or whatever. Like, he's huge, but it's a class thing. It's a class thing. I remember Tommy picked me up at Heathrow once, and he picked me up. I walked down to where the black cabs are, the taxis. That's the last trade of indigenous Brits, because everyone's Uber, and you don't need to be an old school Brit to know all the roads. Anyways, so Tommy picks me up where the black cabs are, and so he gets out of his vehicle, and I'm coming across. All the cabbies got out of the cabs and said, "Oi, Tommy!" Like, it was spontaneous. My story, anyhow, I'm walking down Westminster, and a posh toff, am I saying that right, Alex? A posh toff with his fancy cufflinks, his fancy hair, and fancy, like the guy had a $200 hairdo, he had a 200 quid shirt, his cufflinks were 100 each, he's got a 1,000 quid jacket. Like, I thought, whoa, this guy's like a banker at Barclays or something. Like, he was a fancy pants, I'll tell you that. I mean, you could just tell. I mean, he's the kind of guy he was a Gillette man, let me put it that way. He's the kind of man that gets his nails done. And he comes up to Tommy. And you know what? I remember what I was thinking, because I was thinking, look at that. You got Tommy, the working class hero from Luton, who drops his T's, Luton, Peterborough, you know. And then you got this posh top, hello, Mr. Robinson, might I have a moment? I'm not making fun, I'm just trying to show the two different strata. And he says, could I have a selfie? And everyone does that with Tommy. So Tommy leans in, and I take my camera out to take a picture of this moment, because I'm thinking, look at this heartwarming moment. You got Tommy, the working class hero of Britain, and you got this posh top, hello, with the, what do they call that, received pronunciation, high, what is that, high received, is that what that's called, Alex? But not just received, it's like the higher, like the fancy pants. That's called fancy pants. So the fancy pants comes, and the working class bloke who's got a bit of Cockney, would you say Tommy's accent a bit of Cockney? And I think this is beautiful. So I take my cell phone out. In fact, the lads have my phone there, so I would probably dig it out. It's not that important. So I'm taking a picture of this little street moment because I thought, that's so beautiful. It's, you know, look at Britain coming together. You got Tommy, and he's strutting a bit, and he's got his football clothes on or whatever, and you got this fancy pants who says, hey, Mr. Robinson, mind if I have a photo? And Tommy leans in, and the guy leans in, snaps the photo, turns to Tommy and says, you, C-U-N-T. They love that swear over there. They love that swear over there. So this posh toff, if I'm saying that right, this posh fancy pants, I'll say fancy pants is how I talk, pretends he's a fan, comes in to take a picture with Tommy, leans right in, gets the selfie, click, the second it clicks. So he's got the proof to show his mates. Oh, it was quite the gag of the year, I must say. It was the most amusing moment, and I shall show this at all my cocktail parties. Might I say, it was a delightful little amusement. So you had that fella, who now he's got his image for that. And forgive me my accent, I'm trying to do a fancy pants, how a fancy pants would talk. So he was all, oi mate, to get the snapshot, and then he saw fancy pants, and he said, you, C-U-N-T. And I was shocked. I mean, first of all, that's a swear we don't use on this side of the Atlantic very lightly. You drop the C word. Like the F word, that's a pretty, you know, we use the phrase the F-bomb. That's a pretty serious swear when you use the F word, the F word. The C word, you don't even say that on this side of the Atlantic. You say the C word, people will change how they look at you forever. They'll say, oh my God. They use that all the time over there in the UK. But this posh fancy pants leans into Tommy, takes a snapshot, pretends to, and says, you C-U-N-T. I was shocked. It was shocking. I don't think Tommy was shocked, he was surprised. But what did he do? Did he punch him? No, he laughed and he walked away. Tommy is actually self-control like that. If he didn't, he'd be in trouble all the time. In fact, there's 3 reactions with Tommy on the street. The number 1 reaction numerically, and I just spent 3 days with him, including at a Luton football match. Guys coming over to want a selfie. We stopped at a Starbucks just to get a snack. And in the parking lot, there's a Sikh guy who wants a selfie with Tommy. Happens all the time. We went to the Luton match. Tommy sits down next to an old friend of mine, old friend of his, who happens to be a black man. Obviously. Like I said to Tommy, he should have a reality show. He should have someone follow him around with a camera all the time, Kardashian style, and put a behind the scenes with Tommy, because there's 100 things a day that are really, wow, interesting. Like I know if there were any liberals watching right now, they would not believe me if I said that a Sikh man wanted a selfie with Tommy. They'd say, oh, he doesn't have any friends of color. No, actually, he's big with the Sikhs because they're worried about rape gangs, Muslim rape gangs, who target Sikh girls. I met Mohan Singh through Tommy. He's a great Sikh guy who walks around with a sword. I told you that day at Westminster Bridge, Tommy didn't walk in by himself. Tommy walked in with a black man, his best friend since school. I didn't know who he was. I said, okay, no, who are you? Oh, we're so-and-so and so. I bet you 99% of Tommy's haters have no idea that literally his best friend from school is black. And he sat at the Luton Town game with his black buddy. And I know I sound like I'm some anthropologist, and the Tommy Robinson has some friends of color. But that's the thing, Tommy doesn't say some of my best friends are black. It just is. Anyone who says some of my best friends are black is probably doesn't have any black friends. They probably know one black person somewhere and they call them a friend. But with Tommy, it's just real life. I mean, like the first day I meet Tommy, he's with his buddy. I'm not going to say his buddy's name because I don't need to get him doxed. And at the football match, they were bantering. It was great. So the number one reaction Tommy gets is, can I have a selfie? The number two reaction is, I remember once I was driving with Tommy and this car pulls up beside and they look and they see it's Tommy and they start taking pictures. It's another Sikh family. The Sikhs love Tommy. That's a fact. I lost my train of thought, but let me tell you what we're doing here for those of you still watching. You'll see on the replay that Tommy joined us for, what was he on, for about half an hour or so? 20 minutes, whatever. So we caught him, he was driving back from Peterborough to Luton, and he pulled over and he Skyped from his phone. And when I was over there, I said, look, Tommy, let's help you crowdfund your legals. And we talked about doing a super chat, and I just called him on my phone immediately and handed the phone to Alex, and we patched him in. So I had already come to an agreement to help crowdfund Tommy's legals. So if you chip in via super chat, we will help pay his legal expenses. There's no way we're going to come up with £38,000, I can assure you that. But if you want to stick around with me to the top of the hour and chip in a few more, that's where that will go. I lost my train of thought. I was talking about the different reactions to Tommy, but I hate that snobby reaction to him. I was shocked because here in Canada we don't have that classism. And in America you certainly don't. In fact, America, even de Tocqueville talked about the upward mobility. And I know it's true. People don't judge you by your accent. They don't judge you by your name. They don't judge you where you were born. They judge you on, in fact, Americans love a rags to riches story. They love someone who comes from nothing. That's the American story. The British story is, know your place. And there's something a little bit sad about someone who has an accent. And I was up in Sunderland with Tommy. There are people who, because you can detect that Sunderland accent, which I love, by the way, they would dismiss those folks and say, I know who you are, I know who your parents are, and I know who your children will be, and you are nobodies. And that's what I've talked about before. Speaking of Brits, do you know that song, Can We Get Lifeguard Sleeping, Girl Drowning? And can you get me the line where he says, she was nobody's nothing, and can you start at 20 seconds before that? It's Morrissey, Lifeguard Sleeping, Girl Drowning. She was nobody's nothing. Morrissey's an interesting character. While we're getting that, can you slap on the screen, if the two of you just can help, Morrissey talking about For Britain, talking about Tommy. You can't do both. Okay, just get me the audio, or the video even, whatever. Morrissey's interesting. He's a Brit who was alternative. He had lots. Morrissey elaborates of For Britain, on support of For Britain, says treatment of EDL founder Tommy Robinson is shocking. That's Morrissey on the left. That's our mate Tommy on the right. Maybe you don't know Morrissey that well because he's like 60 now. Scroll down and just see what else on the page here. I don't think the word racist has any meaning anymore other than to say you don't agree with me, so you're a racist. Morrissey has spoken out, zoom in a bit if you can, Morrissey has spoken out to explain his support of the controversial party For Britain, as well as saying that the media treatment of EDL co-founder Tommy Robinson has been shocking. Earlier this year, Morrissey made headlines when he discussed accusations of racism, yada, yada, yada. He also referred to Hitler as left-wing and criticized Sadiq Khan. Very interesting. Let me read the bottom. I know the media don't want Anne-Marie Waters. Anyhow, you could read it, you could look at it yourself. But Morrissey, very interesting. because he's a rock star who doesn't give a damn. And it's clear to me. And then after we have the lifeguard sleeping, girl drowning, can you get me, I spent the day in bed? And can you forward to where he says, stop watching the news? Let me know when we have the first one and the second one. And you're thinking, Ezra, why are you wasting my time with some Morrissey clips? First of all, because he's amazingly talented. Second of all, he's a Brit, and we've got a few Brits watching. Third of all, I want to keep going. It's like we're doing a telethon here for Tommy. That's what we're doing, a telethon. If you chip in a few quid, Eagle's Nest with 100, thank you. Isme Amy, thank you for taking a stance for free speech, thank you. So if you chip in, we'll help pay off Tommy's legal defense. So lifeguard sleeping, girl drowning is the first I want to do, and then I want to do spent the day in bed. So I think Tommy speaks for the forgotten people, but they're not really forgotten. Like when that fancy banker accosted Tommy on the bridge, he didn't forget who Tommy was. It was a disdain, a contempt, a snobbery, a sneering, a condescension, a superiority. Like that's not really forgotten. Forgotten as in no one gives a damn, but they haven't forgotten them. So Tommy, I mean, you heard Tommy earlier. He was critical of the judge and critical of the lawyers and critical of the whole system, and that's fair. I wouldn't put it all on the judge, by the way. I would put it partly on the laws, partly on the cops, and partly on the different qualities in legal representation. What do we? Okay, so I hear in my ear that we've got the. So give me about 30 seconds before that line. Let's give it a shot. Here's Morrissey.
She was nobody's nothing.
All right, that was it. Yeah, it wasn't quite as impressive as it was in my mind. But I mean, the song is called "Lifeguard Sleeping Girl Drowning," and let me read you the line because he sort of whispered it. Can I read you a little bit of this and then give me spent the day in bed? So think about it. This is a girl who's drowning on a beach. And this is from the lifeguard's point of view. Always looking for attention, always needs to be mentioned. Who does she think she should be? The shrill cry through the darkening air. Doesn't she know he's had such a busy day? Tell her, shh. Somebody tell her, shh. Oh, no way, no, there's no movement. Oh, hooray. It was only a test, but she swam too far against the tide. She deserves all she gets. The sky became mad with stars as an outstretched arm slowly disappears. Oh, please don't worry, there'll be no fuss. She was nobody's nothing. What's your name? What's your name? She was nobody's nothing. That line. She was nobody's nothing. Don't make a fuss. Shut up. That exactly describes the UK establishment's approach to the thousands of Indigenous British girls who've been systematically raped by largely Pakistani Muslim rape gangs in the UK, including the most shocking case of Rotherham, where more than 1,400 girls in a town of 250,000, 1,400 girls in a city of 250,000. Think of what a staggering percentage that is. So you have 125,000 women at all. And the number of women who are in that age cohort is, what, maybe 20,000. 5% of the women in a city raped, and everyone hushed it up because they were white girls and the rapists were Pakistani Muslim, and we shh, you're just looking for attention. Shh, you're nobody's nothing. You just, I've had such a busy day. Can you shut up, please? That's what I mean by forgotten people. That's what Morrissey knows. She's nobody's nothing. Oh, that Chelsea Wright from Sunderland, she's nobody's nothing. Come on, she's a nobody. She's a nobody. Oh, Tommy Robinson, don't you know your place? The way you drop your consonant, Luton. He doesn't even say the T in Luton. You know all you need to know about Tommy. He doesn't say the T in Luton. Luton. No, it's Luton. It's not Peterborough. It's Peterborough. Oh, I know everything I need to know about you because you drop your T's. It's nobody's nothing. Ha! He's getting uppity. He's going to court to take on the Cambridgeshire Constabulary. How dare he? Let's smack him down and then make him pay £38,000. And apparently I got to read the ruling. Apparently 20,000 of that is to the cops and the rest is to the lawyer. Why would you pay the cops anything if you're also covering their lawyer? I want to play one more Morrissey thing, and we're just keeping this going for a few more minutes because we're doing a sort of telethon for Tommy here, pay his fees. Can I invite you to watch that very sad video by Morrissey called Lifeguard Sleeping Girl Drowning? Because what you have in the UK is lifeguards sleeping, police sleeping, tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of girls being raped. It's a fact. May I recommend to you the book called Easy Meat that attempts to calculate it. The camera battery is dying, I understand, so we're going to throw to a clip. Let's play Spent the Day in Bed by Morrissey while the fellas run in and change the battery. Okay, give me a little bit on, I want to stop watching the news. Okay, here we go.
And I recommend that you stop watching the news because...
Stop watching the news because the news... Can you give me the rest of that sentence? The news, something to frighten you, contrives to frighten you, to leave you sad and alone, to make you feel your mind is not your own. Anyhow, you can find it yourself. We need to change a battery here because we have a low battery. I'm going to play for you while we do that. Stay with me. I'm going to play 3 minutes from the Tommy cell phone video of the events in Cambridgeshire 2.5 years ago while the fellas rush in and change the battery. Don't go away. Watch this, Tommy in Cambridgeshire, when the police went after him. Take a look.
5 kids with, so obviously we're causing loads of trouble and we've got to get out. So.
Look at that.
Mate, it's a fucking joke. Nice stuff, baby, yeah? Take care.
Oh, look, he's even following us now. Mate, go home. Kids, come on. Come on. Come on, go on.
This is what happens when we go to Luton away. You want to come? No, I'm filming it. Get it now and get home. Telling them, Mum, we've got to... It's always bollocks, isn't it?
No idea, darling. Darling, my daughter's crying her eyes out now, lads. So you're following us. You're following us.
You're shouting.
You're making my daughter cry. Go away.
We're making sure that you stay safe.
They're scared.
Right, okay. We're following you. There's no way out of that.
You think we need safety of you? Go away. Macy, darling, come here. Come here, darling. It's all right. Come here, sweetheart. It's all right. Girls, it's all right. Come here. Come here. Come here, sweetheart.
All right, there you have it. You heard his daughter crying there. It's incredible. Well, folks, look, it's 2:07 here, which means it's 6:07 p.m. GMT in the UK. And I appreciate you joining me for the past 2 hours. Normally, I do these super chats, as they're called by YouTube, for just 1 hour. I get in and out because I have other work to do, including I have another show I have to do tonight. I will do it on Tommy Robinson for those of you who are premium subscribers to The Rebel. At 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I will do my show on these matters, including my observations, including my own interactions with the judge. Just to remind viewers who joined us in the last little while, when I was live tweeting out there, the judge summoned me. Well, she didn't quite summon me, the lawyer did, and told me, stop expressing your opinions or I could hold you in contempt. I said, Your Honor, it's not opinion journalism a species of journalism? Frankly, isn't that the most common sort of journalism? And she was crystal clear. She said, if you express an opinion on these matters, she would hold me in contempt. I said, Your Honor, I've done hundreds of tweets here. Is there anything in particular that grinds your gears? And she said, I'm not going to give you that advice. You have to use your... I said, well, tell me what I'm doing wrong here. And actually, the one tweet she didn't like was one where I joked that judge would throw me in the dungeon if I was a bad boy. So I guess, I'm not sure if that really was in contempt of court or if it just... I thought it was a self-deprecating joke. But I complied. I wasn't looking to become another test case. I don't want to be a test case for freedom of speech in the UK because I think the UK is failing all those tests, aren't they? There's a lot of things to learn from Tommy's trial. Some of them are very particular, like it's always a good idea to videotape your interactions with police because the police deleted their own footage, didn't they? So always record your own interactions. That's one lesson. Another is don't try and save money on lawyers. If I heard Tommy correctly, he said that he spent £10,000 on his lawyer. Yeah, there's a reason that lawyer is that cheap for a 4-day trial, £10,000 plus all the preparation. And it sort of showed. And how did that save Tommy money in the long run if he's winding up paying 4 times as much to the other side? How about spend 4 times as much on your own lawyer, get an absolute top-notch killer, and win, and make the other side pay for your lawyer? That's how to do that math. I think another point is know the difference between what belongs in the court of public opinion and what belongs in the court of law. I believe Tommy's proper place is in the court of public opinion, persuading people in the media, in speeches, on video. That, I think his enemies know that too, which is why they're trying so hard to deplatform him. Tommy does have a place in the court of law occasionally when he's been wronged, but he has to make sure that he's going to court with the strongest case possible. As we saw here, the court's bias will surely be against him. And I guess the final thing, the part I found most scary in the last 2 hours that we've been talking, is where the judge said, sure, that landlady said Tommy was no problem. And sure, that landlady may have said Tommy was with his kids. And sure, everything was fine. But could she predict the future? No. And as we saw in the movie Minority Report, you never know what's... Oi, mate, where's your license? Where's your license for what you might do in the future, mate? I'm terrible with the accents, and I hope my British friends will forgive me and know that I'm doing it in a spirit of admiration. I love the accents. I'm not mocking. I'm trying to sometimes show the posh tops and how they sneer at Tommy. And I just like to say, oi, mate, where's your license? Where's your journal? Oh, my God, I got one last story. Let me tell you one last story. And by the way, folks, if you chip in on our super chat, as you saw, we're going to help pay off some of Tommy's legal expenses. I want to tell you one more story. Stay with me for 5 minutes. I can't believe I forgot this. So I mentioned that on the first day, when the cops, we played this video, the cops' interaction, it was shocking. It was so gross. And I saw those cops there sitting in the court. So we're all on lunch break, and I see the cops right there, and I go up to them and I ask them a couple questions, and one of them was, do you regret what you did? That's what I asked them. And they didn't answer me. They walked right in the court. Like it was a 10-second interaction. And they complained to the judge and said I was intimidating them. I know I'm very, very intimidating. I mean, I can bench press really, like 2 chicken wings. Like that's like bench press for me. So the judge said, Mr. Levant, no intimidating witnesses. Okay. And then she talked about my tweeting one more time, and then the final time. But let me tell you about the second time she talked about it. So she cleared out the public gallery. That's the few Tommy supporters who were allowed in. I say again, they kept out Tommy supporters. At one time there were 23 empty seats. At one time I think there were 19 empty seats. And the judge addressed that and said, I don't want the courtroom to be overflowing, or overfull, I think was her language. Well, if you've got 50 seats in the courtroom and if you have 51 people, that's overflowing. If you have 50 seats and 50 people, the court is full. If you have 50 seats and you have 23 of them empty, the court's not full. They're empty seats. And you're deliberately saying that you don't want Tommy's people there. And why not? I don't want it over full. Well, obviously this courtroom was built to accommodate the number of people for whom there are chairs. That was so bizarre. Anyways, so the court pushed out the public. And so the only people left in the room at this point were the cops, the lawyers, Tommy, the judge, the clerk, the usher, me and Freddie, 2 journalists, and a couple other journalists. So the judge was going to read us the riot act about live tweeting. So she was really only talking to me, let's be honest. So the usher, or some court clerk of some sort, went through the remaining people in the court and said, "Are you a journalist?" Yes, 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 yes. "Can I see your license?" Swear to God he said that. Swear to God. He might have said the word pass or card or something. But I swear it was oi mate, put up the license, give me a better license one. There's one where just give me one where they're smashing through a door. Oi mate, where's your Facebook license? Or where's your Twitter license? The one you did was fine, but go get me one with more oomph to it. I swear to God, in the court, they said, "Oi mate, where's your journalism license?" I think the actual words were, "Can you please furnish your proof of being a registered journalist?" Or as they would say in a Cockney accent, "Oi mate, where's your journalism license?" Yeah, when you live in Britain and you tell a joke at a dinner party, but your joke license expired. This is exactly the meme I was hoping you'd follow. "Oi mate, where's your journalism license, eh?" "Oh, I spent a little more time in HMP only." I'm told that's now I've entered the Australian accent territory. But as God is my witness, hand to heart, swear on a Bible, they actually said, "Where is your registered license, pass, journalism?" "Oi mate, where's your journalism license?" Yeah, sorry, I'm getting Australian there. And I swear to God, so Freddie Lynn of the Cambridgeshire Live, who was sitting next to me, whips out his license. He's got it right there. Don't leave home without it, you know? I mean, he'd be terrified to leave home without his pay. You know what? It's like in Germany, Eierpapieren. Where's your papers? Eierpapieren. Where are your papers? Yeah, in free countries, you don't need papers. You don't need papers, mate. You don't need a journalism license. But Freddie, and I'm not picking on Freddie, he was just sitting next to me, he had his journalism license out right away. And there was another girl who just started with me. "I just started. I don't have my license yet." And there was another, and they came to me, which, I mean, they were making everyone show their license, but there was only one person they were mad at. It was me, obviously. So this whole thing was just for my benefit. And so the usher said, "Oi mate, where's your license?" And I'm sorry, I'm sounding Australian. I can't get out of the, "Oi bruv, where's your license, bruv?" And I said, "Well, I'm from Canada, and journalists don't have licenses in Canada. We don't have to register with the government. You know, here in Airship 1, maybe you do, but where I come from, we don't have to register with the government." And he looked puzzled, because I didn't have my license, bruv. So he went back and told that to the judge, and the judge came out. And the judge came out, and she had been deeply briefed, because she went through, "Okay, I've seen your license, and Mr. Levant, I understand that we don't have licenses in Canada." And now, she didn't kick me out, but I must tell you, it was quite something to see the insistence on a journalism license. And really, why were the public kicked out? Why the legal distinction between being a mere citizen and a licensed journalist? Why do licensed journalists have some greater right to hear what's being done in court than the public? And frankly, those were even the elite strata of the public, because of course, like I say, there were up to 23 seats that weren't allowed to be filled. So there was the rabble that was kept out. There was the favored ones. It's like you go to a bar and you got the velvet rope and you got the bouncer. Yeah, you can come in. Oh, I like you wearing a tight shirt. You can come in. You're sort of ugly. You don't come. Like who? What? We're all equal here, mate. You can't keep out people. There's 23 unfilled seats. Why are you keeping people out? So there was the Tommy's rabble outside, couldn't come in. Then there was the VIP Tommy said, and then you had the 23 empty seats, and then you had the journalists. Why were the journalists given special status? Anyways, so I was asked for my journalism license, and to everyone that was super normal. And they were, oh no, I swear, this one girl, I swear I just joined. I'll get my license really soon. I'm sorry, master. I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, I don't. I want to leave you with this because I got to sign off. What time is it? It's 2:19. I got to get to work here, folks. But I'm glad we talked to Tommy. Just one last word. In fact, why don't you keep the live stream going just for 10 more minutes when I'm done, or 5 minutes? Or why don't you just, why don't we do this? Why don't we end? I'm going to end after this anecdote and just run that full Cambridgeshire clip from Brian in London. That'll extend it. I want folks to know, if you chip in with the super chat, as you heard, we're going to help Tommy pay off his legal fee. Where was I? I was talking about licenses. Everyone was cool with that. Everyone was submissive like that. I want to tell you, I remember, here's my last story. I know a lot of people from the former Soviet Union. And I've talked to them about what life was like. And I'm not comparing the UK in 2019 to the Soviet Union. I'm not that stupid. But it's a question of a degree. You heard about the antisocial behavior orders. I read the definition. Anyone known or unknown who has the possibility or capability of causing a public disorder now or in the future. That's everybody. You don't have laws like that on the books if you're a free country. That's the law that was used to kick Tommy out of a pub. I said to Tommy, that's sort of like Mississippi burning, kick out a family because they're black. What did I do wrong, officer? Oh, if you ask me that again, I'm going to serve you an arrest notice. What do I know? What did I do wrong? Hey, if you keep that up, I'm going to arrest you. No, what did I do wrong? Hey, you're raising your voice. That's what we saw. You don't put laws on the books like that. Because police officers are not angels. None of us are. So you have limited laws. You don't have a law that can basically let you kick a man out and his family out of a restaurant because you damn well feel like it. And then frog march them down the street because you damn well feel like it. You don't have laws like that on the books. Because even if those laws are passed with the best of intentions, they will, in time, be abused. Entropy, things move, freedom constantly decays. You have to refresh it all the time. The UK has not refreshed its freedom lately. I want to tell you one last story, and it's not about Canada, the United States, Australia, or the United Kingdom. I want to tell you about Romania. And you can check this out. You can Google this if you think I'm making it up, because I know it's so shocking. You're going to say, I don't believe that. In Romania, until the fall of the Warsaw Pact, I think it was Ceausescu, if I'm recalling. Did you know that to own a typewriter required you to register your typewriter with the police? That's a fact. Google it. Google it. In fact, can you fellas Google it and slap it on the screen while I'm talking? In fact, there's a whole book about that. I think it's called The Buried Typewriter, about a family that had a contraband typewriter and buried it in the backyard to hide it. Google Romania typewriter and just throw some things up there. People won't believe me that I'm telling you this. Here's what you had to do. You had to go to the police and explain why you ought to be allowed to have a typewriter, because no good things can come from a citizen with a typewriter. What do you want to type up? Why do you want a typewriter? Who are you? Know your place. And if you could make the case that you had a legitimate reason, the default state was no. You had to apply for a permit, a license. if you could prove to some cop in Romania in the 80s and 70s that you had a legitimate reason for a typewriter, ooh, you know what you had to do? Swear to God, look it up. Let me know. Just find anything about Romanian typewriters. You had to type. The police took a sample of the typewriter. I don't know if you know this. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Scroll up. Show me the headline here. Burying the Typewriter: Childhood Under the Eye of the Secret Police by Carmen Bugan. Review. This is from The Guardian, no less, which is a lefty paper. A warm and humane, The Observer. A warm and humane account of, what did it say up there? A warm and humane account of growing up in Ceausescu's Romania. Okay, yeah, okay, scroll down to where you were. There we go. When the typewriter arrives, she explains the system for registering it with the police, how it is fingerprinted, and how they must provide an explanation for why they need it. An instrument can be used to type about personal feelings, forbidden, or write anti-government pamphlets, forbidden. The ordinariness of everyday life conveyed in her description of cooking and agriculture and family rows are a kind of thick veneer. 1 in 3 of their neighbors is an informer for the Securitate, secret police, because everything happens through bribing the Securitate. Thank you. So you saw that about the fingerprinting. That's what they call it. You know, for my viewers who are under 40, you don't know what a typewriter is. But a typewriter was a machine that looked like a computer but without the screen. So you would push the key and it would physically go ping A, ping B, ping, and it would strike a ribbon of ink pop, on a piece of paper and imprint. And so every typewriter was slightly different. It might be a little crooked. There might be a dent in it. So it was like a fingerprint, because no two typewriters were perfectly exactly the same. Unlike a Word document that you make on Microsoft Word with a standard font times Roman or whatever, every single person who uses Word processor to write something, it's going to be identical. But back in the day, a typewriter would be unique because maybe this letter had a dent in it, maybe this key was off. So they would take a fingerprint, it was called, of your typewriter and keep that on file. So if any samizdat, if any illegal material would be found, they could match it against the police registry and find out who was going to jail. And that's why they wanted to have a typewriter license. That's a true story. And so there I am in Peterborough in 2019. And the judge asked to see my typewriter license. Now, she didn't say typewriter because we don't use those. I was tweeting. Where's your Twitter license? I know I'm sounding Australian. I don't know how to get out of that. Bruv. Hey, bruv. Where's your Twitter license? Shame if something happened to your fingers. You got fat fingers, mate. All the good for Twittering. Don't make me serve a antisocial behavior order. Okay, I'm sorry. I've got that was about 3 different accents combined there. I can do a Jamaican accent pretty good. I can do a Yiddish accent. I'm not going to do those right now. In 2019, in the United Kingdom, the land of the Magna Carta, the place that gave us John Milton, the place that gave us Shakespeare, the place where the English language flowed like a mighty river carrying ideas around the world, the great British Empire, now the British Commonwealth, the United Kingdom in 2019 asked me for my typewriter license. Yeah, I didn't have one because we don't have typewriter licenses over here. That was weird. But weirder to me was that everyone else was, Gov, here's my license. Gov, I'm okay, don't kick me out, Gov. I got my license. I got my typewriter license. They were all so eager to please the authorities. My buddy Freddie was so happy to show his license. And that young girl, I forget what paper she was with. Your Honor, I don't have my license now, but I'll have it soon, mistress. Okay, I'm going to stop with the accents because it's just getting worse. They were all so compliant, so submissive. They loved it. In fact, they were irritated by the foreigner who had no place there. daring to type on his electronic typewriter without a license. And if you think that's bad for me, a foreigner coming over as a tourist for 3 days, imagine what it's like to be Stephen Yaxley Lennon, aka Tommy Robinson, and having the entire establishment, every police force, every journalist, every prosecutor, every judge, every politician, attacking you all the time, nitpicking you, pettifogging you, entrapping you, stinging you. Where's your license, bruv? Where's your license? It's 2:30. I thank you for joining me over the course of the last 2.5 hours. I have to go. I had to come back to Canada. I would have liked to have been there. I had to come back, and I have other things I must do today. And believe it or not, I have to get on a plane in a few hours again. I'm gonna close now, but for the next few minutes, why don't we play 5 minutes of Tommy Robinson's cell phone footage of when he was threatened with arrest for having lunch with his family in a restaurant in Cambridgeshire, and threatened with arrest if he did not immediately also leave the town. Let me give you 30 seconds of recap. Today, Tommy Robinson lost his court case against the Cambridgeshire police. The judge has ordered him to pay, it sounds like, if I heard Tommy right, £38,000, which is, I did the math, I think that's like 50,000 US and 60 something Canadian. Stunning amount of money. I had my own experiences there, including the judge asking for my license. If you chip in with a super chat here, we will apply that to help Tommy cover his fees, his legal fees. So on that note, I'm feeling quite depressed. But as Tommy said, the fight continues. And until next time, I thank you for joining us. On behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters in Toronto, to you at home, goodbye. And keep fighting for freedom. Here's that clip.
What sort of law tells a man with his children he has to leave a city? What is that about? Right. What is that about? What is that about? Freedom, democracy, Britain. What's that about?
It's quite simple.
I should be.
Do you want me to explain it?
Tell me why then. Tell me why.
The situation is because we know that if certain groups stay within the city,
I'm with my children.
Okay.
I'm with my children.
Unfortunately,
I'm the area manager for a security company. The group that you're throwing out have been in the Prince Regent today with their children. Caused no problems at all in there. They've come in here, spoken to my head of security. He's saying that they've not pushed.
Shall I have a chat with you away from this side?
So tell me what you're saying.
I'm not having an interview. I've already told you.
So you're telling me what?
I've told you already. Yeah. Are you going to leave?
Hold on.
Are you going to leave immediately?
I'm with my children, and you're telling me I have to leave immediately.
Are you going to leave?
For what?
You're going to get a Section 35 dispersal notice.
For what? Again, just because I know I come across as angry, yeah? Anyone watching that, you have to understand from my point of view, everywhere I go, when I don't commit a crime, I have them at my house. That same police force, I've gone out today to take my children to watch football, and they're harassing me. I'm watching a Man United game. I have to leave. Why? So this video is only say, people say, even you're angry. Of course I'm angry. Of course I'm angry. Of course I'm angry. This isn't the first time. This is every time. Anywhere I go, everything I do, followed, harassed, persecuted. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm watching a Man United game. My kids are playing. That's disgrace. I'm actually it's a disgrace, bruv. A disgrace. I'm so pissed off, man. Because I don't mind. If you want to play with me, bitch, please, and you want to harass me and you want to persecute me, you do that, yeah? You start making my children scared, making my children cry, making them not understand what's going on. Play with their minds. Every time. Scare them, intimidate them. My children.
Right, okay, we'll give you a 35 then.
Tell me for what? I'm with my children. I'm with my children.
Stop, get that thing in my face. I'm not being interviewed by you. Right.
Tell me why. You tell me why.
No, you'll get it on the form. It'll be explained to you.
Tell me why I have to.
I'm going to get a form down.
Tell me why.
Listen,
No, officer. When I'm
take that camera up my face. I'm not being interviewed by you. This isn't Crime Watch.
I'm with my children. You're telling me I have to leave.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Because there's likely to be disorder.
Get off my hands. Don't assault me. Tell me why. Tell me why I have to leave.
Stop shouting at me.
So tell me why I've got to leave.
It'll be explained to you when you get yourself.
How are you drawing a jurisdiction to where I do and don't go with my kids? Tell me the reason.
Shush! I'm trying to talk on my radio.
Hold on, you've told me I've got to leave.
Just trying to take your hand away from him.
I haven't. No, he's touching my hand. I'm minding my own business. I'm minding my own business. You've come off the street to where I'm having a private drink with my family, and you're telling me I have to leave.
Can't hear you, mate. I can't talk. We're upstairs.
Tell me why I have to leave. Mate, you know this is ridiculous, yeah? You're from Luton. You know this is ridiculous. Tell me why I have to leave.
At the end of the day, the boss is authorised to Section 35.
But we've already cleared it. Why? I'm with my kids.
We're allowed to stay. You haven't cleared it with the boss, have you?
I'm with my children.
Decision, mate.
What sort of law?
You're going to drag me down the street without.
What sort of law in a free country tells someone where they do?
Mate, so the decision's been made locally.
What sort of law tells a man with his children he has to leave a city? What is that about?
Right.
What is that about? What is that about? Freedom, democracy, Britain. What's that about?
Quite simple.
I should be.
Do you want me to explain it?
Tell me why then. Tell me why I have to leave.
The situation is, because of the lessons we've learnt in the past, we know that if certain groups stay within the city,
I'm
then
with
it
my
causes
children.
violence. Okay.
I'm with my children.
Unfortunately,
I'm with my family.
Makes no difference. Same rule for everyone. Because if we
It's
make
not the same
one
rule
rule,
for everyone.
don't shout.
There's loads
calm
of
down.
people from Luton in
If
here.
you want me to explain it to you, then I will. But you're going to keep it calm.
Yeah, go on then.
Situation is, because of the fact that there's going to be a likelihood of violence if a group stays here from this match.
You really think me and my 3 children are going to commit violence? Tell me the truth.
What I'm saying is,
do you think that?
Listen,
Well, you're behaving now, so yeah.
Well, no, because you're coming up to me and my kids on a day out.
You're being
I'm with
aggressive.
no,
You're
you're
being aggressive.
coming up to me.
Around my face, so you'll get
Don't hit my
yourself
hands.
hit.
Don't
Keep
hit my
going,
hands.
you'll get yourself
You're
arrested.
hitting my hands.
You're pointing in my face.
You've come up to me. I'm with my family in a pub. You've come up to me.
Look at the scene you're making.
Scene I'm making. Who made the scene? Go outside. I'm with my family.
You're going to get arrested in a minute.
Why am I going to get arrested? In front of my kids. So you want to arrest me in front of my kids because what?
Listen, you're going to talk yourself into this.
I'm not talking myself into it.
I'm trying to be reasonable.
You're not being reasonable. You're telling me I have to leave a city. I'm with my family.
Yeah.
Why? Tell me why.
It's already been explained.
No, go on, why?
I'll explain.
You think me and my children are committing violence?
I think there's likely to be. Look at the way you're behaving.
Tell me.
Look at the way you're behaving.
Do you know how many people from this pub are in Luton? Why have you come up to me?
Pardon?
Why have you come up to me?
You're part of a group.
No, I'm not part of a group. I'm with my 3 kids. What group am I part of?
You're with a group of people who've been identified as potentially being involved in violence.
Are you for real?
Yes.
My daughter is 5, my son is 7, and my daughter is 9.
You're not setting a very good example to them at the moment.
You're not. You're meant to be a British police officer. Who are you serving and protecting? Who are you serving and protecting here?
Shouting at me.
Who are you serving and
In a minute,
protecting?
the form's going to come. You're going to be given it. If you stay, you're going to get arrested.
Who are you serving and protecting?
I haven't got to answer this.
Chris,
This is not
who
an
are
interview.
you serving and protecting?
This is not an interview.
Your job is to serve and protect. Who are you serving and protecting?
You don't need to tell me how to do my job.
Mason's gone. He said the other Luton I'll be aware. He said we're going to have to go.
Who are you serving and protecting?
I'm not playing this little game with you.
It's not
right?
game, mate.
It's
I'm out with my children.
You're going to be given a dispersal notice. I've explained it to you. I'm not doing it again. When the officer gets here, you get the form. If you stay, you get arrested. It's as simple as that. Don't get yourself arrested for something like this. It's not worth it, is it?
Do you know what you're doing? No, the officer, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? You are persecuting me with my children on a family down. I'm out with my children.
Where are your children?
Come downstairs with him.
You're standing up here drinking.
With the other, no, I'm not drinking. I'm on water.
Right.
They're with the other
Why are
set.
you behaving like this?
Because you. Why am I behaving like this? Because you follow me round. Your police force follow me round. You intimidate me and you persecute me.
Go ahead.
I'll go down and see my kids.
No, the kids are at the bench with them.
So I've just got back. This really is a video. Is that my wife? This is a video for journalists watching this. If you're a journalist and you've got any ounce of integrity, anything about you, you've got to have seen what happened today. You've got to have seen what happened today. Not just what happened today, but the ongoing blatant in everyone's face persecution. I don't care about me. That's the truth. I don't care. My wife, my children, arrested me in front of my kids at the airport, taking me away in front of them. And then today, if you're a journalist and you believe, and I think most of you would have joined to become a journalist to tell the truth, to report on the truth, to give the evidence. Give the evidence of what's happened to my family. Because I've had a police officer, and you know what? Do you know this is what it's about? What it's about is more than anything. You know, as a man, when someone makes your child cry, when someone harasses your family, as a man, you want to kill them. And they know that. They push those buttons. So, as a man, I was so furious. Who? Relax. Huh? So, as a man, I'm so furious at what they've done. And they push those buttons because they've been sent to get a reaction from me. To get me to do something. And that's not right. Not when I'm out with my kids and my family, enjoying the day. You all saw. I've had to apologise to the other parents I'm with. I've had to apologise to their children for what they've faced from the police. I'm having to apologise. Because all this is happening because of my political beliefs. And that's it. And something, as a journalist, if you're watching this, you've got to question what's going on. You've got to show what's going on. You've got to question, I don't know, as an individual, as a father of three, what can I do against that? They've made my children cry countless times, again and again and again. They've just followed my children with cameras in their faces, persecuting them to leave a whole city for no reason. What can I do about that? What am I supposed to do about that? See you right, bud? Yeah, I'll wait inside you. It's pathetic, bud. Officer, am I getting to section 30?
I don't know, mate. I've just tried to speak to the son.
Why? I'm with my 3 children.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
There's 3 of us with 7 kids.
I know. Okay.
What violence are we going to cause?
Okay. Yeah. Bear with me, alright? I'm going to tell what I'm told, alright?
What violence am I going to cause with my children?
I can't say, can I? Alright?
But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We're watching the football.
Yeah. I spoke to your kids. They're alright at the minute, alright?
Yeah.